Welcome in. It's 9 to noon. Thirsty Thursday is upon us in the good land ahead of a Labor Day weekend. Holiday weekends are upon us almost. Those deadlines are coming soon. Make sure that you cash in and finish up all that work so you can be enjoying the last weekend without professional football. Because 1 week from today, the NFL will kick off in earnest.
Oh, baby.
John Kuhn,
are you turned on because of that or because of your load management day? Because you have a bit of vigor in your voice this morning.
Yeah, vocal maintenance was good for the broadcast because I'm definitely waiting and anxious to get back here into the microphone.
You were chomping at the bit this morning, which I appreciate. You were hungry and ready, man. You were ready to go this morning.
A buddy of mine called me right away. He goes, dude, you okay? I am fired up. Trust me. You keep this thing away from me for a full 24 hours. That's what generally happens.
Well, as I said in the air yesterday, you really didn't want to take off, but you kind of mandated. It's like a load management. They make you. Do you remember the first time Giannis had a load management where they came up with he woke up with a stiff neck or some vague thing?
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, you're not playing.
And then he was so mad when he talked to reporters, or he walked by angry and he said, I'm fine. To all the reporter, like they asked him, are you? Because everyone's like, oh no, Giannis is hurt. What's going on?
I'm fine.
It was so.
They keep me out.
It's reminded me so much of it.
No, it is. It's all good. It is what it is. I appreciate everybody here at the iHeart Megaplex looking out for me and looking out for everyone's best and well-being. Again, holiday weekend upon us. But that is what it is. No, we are fired up. We're excited because the kicking competition, John, yesterday turned to the kicking carousel when my man Greg Joseph jumps off. Braden, don't call me Chris Narveson, joins in from the Tennessee Titans after hitting a 59-yarder, after hitting a game winner, being somebody that Brian Gutekunst talked about being excited and anxiously looking at in the offseason coming out of the process. Brian Gutekunst said, hey, man, Jesus, take the wheel. Yesterday said, I might be a little bit more impatient with specialists than others. This one, he might be excited to see how quickly or how long Braden Narveson is the kicker for the Green Bay Packers because he's going to be theirs when they go to Sao Paulo in 8 days.
Boy, just roll with that same energy you had at the backup quarterback position and double down on your kicker. Anders, the news was early. We were, suspecting Joseph and somebody a few days ago, right? And now Joseph is released. So even if you look prettier, we want better than 80%. We want better than 80%.
Mm-hmm. Much better, I would say.
And this goes back to what Wayne said yesterday, Armin, with Malik Willis. He feels, and this is absolutely true, that Malik Willis at the backup quarterback position gives you a ceiling that is an unrealized ceiling. You don't know where it's going to reach. You can kind of see where his baseline is, but if you went out and got a veteran quarterback, Billy, a Tannehill or a Heineke, somebody that was proposed, from time to time, you know what their ceiling is because they've had enough ample time to show you what their ceiling is, and that's what you're getting. That's what you're paying for. Well, you get a Malik Willis, you pay for what you know you have in him right now and what you suspect that ceiling could potentially be, seeing that he was drafted 2 years ago and he was probably somewhere on your draft boards then. Now you give him to the quarterback coach, you give him to the head coach, the play caller, and you see what they develop him into. You trust in your people to develop. Very similar here.
Yes.
Very similar here, Armin.
So.
Greg Joseph, you got many years of what he did.
5 years of NFL work, to imagine, examine. You had that with him.
Many years you've seen of him already, and you got a training camp to see if maybe he's grown an extra feather or two on those wings so he could fly higher. Did not feel like that was the case, so here you go. I also think it's interesting, Billy. Backup quarterback, we had a guy for a year last year. Kicker, we had a guy from the draft last year. We gave him each a year. You guys had a year.
That's what you
grow
get. Yep.
And show something to us this preseason that you have grown. Did not feel like they got that growth. Why not? Why not take a shot on a guy who, for all intents and purposes, had a great preseason? Did you see what he did in the preseason? I think this is great. You get yourself a kicker, and we all nerd out on kicking videos. There were kicking videos all over the internet yesterday of Braden Narveson kicking the snot out of the football.
I think the only Narv Dog can do it. That's for sure.
The only field goal he missed was a 60-yarder that came up just short, and it was dead in the middle of those field goal posts when it came up 2
Yes.
yards short, got caught and returned for a touchdown the other way.
And that was big for the eye test.
They're
You're
big for the
on
eye test. Big for the
You're
eye
big
test.
on that.
Yes. And being able to watch a couple actually get, like if you were doing the old school Madden precision kicking game where you get 10 points for it being in the middle, 5 points, and then like 3 points for it just sneaking in, you're actually hitting a couple of 10 and 5 pointers. Let's get a couple of bullseyes. Why not? You can make it a little bit easier on yourself and don't have as many heart palpitations during the kicking contest. That's a good thing for the Packers in 2024. I loved listening to how Brian Gutekunst explained the rationale of it, guys. And it was very similar to how, John, you talked about it on Monday when we were deciding what they were going to do. You said, I'm too bullish on this team because I think I have too high of expectations for this team to let this be the issue for us, right? In so many words, I'm paraphrasing. That's not the exact quote, but he said, I'm too excited about our team to not turn over every stone and see if you can get better. You have to, and especially if he's going to preach it and they're going to preach it for every other position, the ones that can make or break a season, make or break a game, you got to take those swings.
And, you know, I'm kind of on the side of a Steve Zabin when he says the variance in kicking in the National Football League is nil, because the variance is not very big. But what is a big variance are the kicks that are made when everybody else on the team plays well and you have a chance to win the game.
You can win the game.
That's all you care about.
Yep.
That's all you at the end of the day, can you make the kick that really matters? And that's all you'll ever be remembered for. Nobody cares if you miss a kick when you're up 41-3. Nobody cares if you miss a kick when you're down 41-3. Actually, a little salt in the wound pisses people off.
But
you get my point. You get my point here.
Yes.
Is what do you do when you're down 2? What do you do when you're up 2 and you need to make it a touchdown, score, right? What can you make those kicks in the fourth quarter? That's what they are looking for.
It clearly had an eye on this guy, and obviously the target was acquired when the Titans, I think, stuck with Nick Folk, right? The Folk hero. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So the thing is also, if you go back and look, the one he missed in preseason, he had actually, that was a second attempt. The first one he hit, but he was iced or whatever by the timeout. So he hit that one. Some numbers for Narvis and people must like. Guy can obviously hit 60-yarders if you look at some of them. He never missed an extra point.
I do like that stat. Yeah.
Never missed an extra point. Now, I don't know if those were NFL extra points, obviously, so it's longer, but that's good. And he holds NC State's record for longest field goal, 57 yards. We value a big leg. We value a big leg in the league this year. It's the ability to have a weapon of a guy that can hit long ones and obviously be consistent. Packer fans can't say that the Packers sit around and wait anymore. I mean, maybe once upon a time that was a complaint from fans. Now they're changing guys out, whether it becomes a great player, Ryan Longwell, the understudy, or I don't know, someone that doesn't work out, but like Seneca Wallace. But hey, you go for it. You try and make it happen. If you're not happy with the proficiency of the last guy, which still we talked about, John, the highest percentage of any full-time kicker in Packer history, it wasn't good enough.
That's unbelievable, Billy. When that was Armin Sarian's stat of the day, which, by the way, Armin, did you work on the presentation at all? Did you try and take that project home and fix it up and shine it up a little bit?
I didn't know it was going to be a daily thing, so I did not.
No, it's not daily. It's it can be daily. Billy, do you want it to be daily?
Then I will work on it.
The sales department would probably like it to be daily.
Well, no, now that I know it might be a recurring feature,
throw Natty Oaks on that thing or something.
Yeah, why not?
That makes sense.
Absolutely.
So here we go. Now some homework for Armin. Now he's nervous. He's got homework. He's got to take something home tomorrow.
This is a tough deal now.
Yeah, he's a little.
What do you mean? I got all this stuff going on.
But the stat of the day.
I was supposed to enjoy it.
Well, I thought this was a great idea because Armin came up himself with the stat of the day, unprovoked, not pushed, not
faxed in by anybody.
Right.
No, nobody told
him
him to do this. Nobody asked him to go find this. Armin came to the show
Did it all
yesterday
natural. I love that.
with this stat.
Well, it's just
Anders Carlson, the
something
greatest full-time kicker in Packers history in terms of field goal efficiency.
Field goal percentage, right? Yeah. Now, extra points is a different type of deal. We're not going to worry about the extra point deal.
Let's just not
Armin,
that in.
Armin, I know the A, B, and C that you had at the bottom of the screen in order to make that thing true. I was going to get it all in. Don't you worry about that.
Hey, I'll tell you what, though. I was excited to see, okay, we're making this move. Braden Narvison. I can't wait to hear what Coach LaFleur says about it. I don't know about you guys. I was super excited to hear what he had to say. What? Go ask Fine Rich and ask Matt, Coach Coach LaFleur has no opinion on it. He sounds like he doesn't even know what's going on when it comes to special teams.
Does not want to be a part of it. Does not want to be a part of that conversation.
Were you guys surprised he was so clear in saying, go ask Rich? Like that was, hey, this isn't my problem. I'm not even talking about it. That's Rich. That's Rich Bisaccia.
Well, I can tell you, I'm very excited to hear what Rich has to say, John, at 2:00 when he speaks to the media.
Right.
And he is first up out of the coordinators to speak here today. So that is fun for him to show up at 2:00.
And please, I hope the question is prefaced. Well, I tried to ask Matt LaFleur, but he told me that I had to ask you. So this is why you're getting, and then if Rich comes out and he goes, we're on to Braden Irvson. He just says,
I'm not talking about the past.
I'm gonna die.
I'm not talking about the past, Jason. That would be fantastic if that was the start. But I do wonder when the moment came for Rich Bisaccia, John, to say, fellas, I know what we've been worried about. I know that we've been worried about him turning into his brother Daniel. He might just not be his brother. He might be, and Brian Gutekunst said he might have himself a great NFL career after he bounces around a few places, but it's not working here, and it's not going to get better.
It might be the Carlson push. Like you might get the best out of
Needle
Carlson
some,
when you fire a Carlson, right? They say, right, the second job you have in media is the best job you ever have, because the first one you took for granted, and the second one you worked hard.
I do better at this one. Yeah.
I never heard that. That's pretty good. I like
never heard that.
I like that though. I honestly haven't. No,
that was something told to me a long time ago. The second place you work in media is when you're actually going to start hitting.
That makes a lot of sense.
The first one, you're going to stink, and they're going to fire you before you get good. The second one is where you get good.
Damn, I'm living testament of that. I love that. And then the second one's going to give you vocal maintenance days, and then let Wayne Larrivee come in. Wayne Larrivee come in and tell stories. That had to have been awesome though yesterday, because the start of Wednesdays with Wayne.
Awesome. Actually,
no, and that's another thing. We changed the label. It's Wide Open Wednesdays.
Wide Open Wednesday. Yes. Come on now. Ding ding. Oh, where's I'll use the gong.
Gong. There we go.
That's well done.
I'm starting to use the gong more here.
You're gonna rip the gong out now?
You know why I found the mallet or whatever they call it.
Come on, rip on that gong again.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That does just add a different appeal to this radio program.
I love Armin taking bong rips. Or gong rips.
Gong rips.
Both of which I fully support Armin taking on the radio show. Now, I'm not your boss, but if indeed that was the case.
If I go to the gong too much, though, then it'll become a problem. You have a new toy, you start going to it too much.
And that gong and bong, that can both happen. When you go to it too many times, it becomes a very different situation. All right, 414-799-1973. A lot of response on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line. We're going to respond to a ton of it. I don't know where this one's coming from, though, from Brent and Franklin. Said BS needs to put up. Will he man up and put a bet on with me whether the Packers or Lions will win the North? He wants the Lions. He also throws it up to John Kuhn and says, or JK, you can offer it up too and around with me at the country club next year. Oh, that sounds like a good deal.
What's he offering?
What are you offering here?
What's he offering?
What are you offering when the Lions inevitably lion and Detroit all over themselves finish third in the NFC? And the Packers and Bears are the ones going to the playoffs, and you're sitting home with the Vikings at, like, say, I don't know, 8-9. What is he giving away?
I think he should pay for my round at Whistling Straits and carry my bag.
That's what I'm talking about. That's a good negotiation.
I love Brent's energy, but he does live in a world that he thinks everything relates to the Lions in some way.
Yeah, he said, I'll wear a Packer jersey at Nooner Day next year if the Packers win the North. Not good.
It doesn't do it for me. No offense. I see a lot of guys at Notre Dame.
He already is a closet Packer fan. He knows it. He just comes out because he has some deep ties to the Lions and Barry Sanders from back in the day.
Yeah, I love and respect his Detroit fandom, and he likes the Lions a lot. But I don't think, Brent, like that everything that happens, like I think if I walked through Quick Trip with him and we went to the bread house, like, you know where they get great bread, Detroit, like it's like one of those things.
I think it goes to show, like it speaks volumes to who we are here, that we have Lions fans and Cowboys fans. And I've even met a couple Cubs fans down at Nooner Day that still come to hang out and call themselves a Nooner. I mean, I think, welcoming everybody in, that's something special.
Do you think, you don't have any questions on who he thinks the best rapper of all time is, right? I mean, M&M, of course.
M&M.
I mean,
Yeah, I think
everything.
it's gotta
all
be.
Detroit.
Yeah, I think
What
it's
type
gotta
of
be.
pizza is the
M&M's
best?
high on the all-time list anyways.
Oh,
as
he
it
is. Of course he is.
That's not if you said that, you could back that up with facts.
I guess you're
Back
right.
that
I have
up
to
with
think
validation.
I have to think of a different like example. Oh, like what's the best pizza? Detroit style, like.
By the way, I do want
That's
to fit
not
this
the
in.
best kind of pizza, though. Let's put that.
Well, that one's
that's-
not even close.
That's not even close to the best one.
I mean,
I
Where
don't
you're
know.
putting the sauce on top and then it's cold.
Well,
No,
the
thanks.
worst part is Detroit style pizza is just a cheap knockoff of Chicago style pizza.
Yes.
That's all it really is.
Well, it's got those
Yep.
thick edges, right? Isn't that what that is?
Yeah, and we're fans of the thick edges. However,
I like those pizzas actually.
I
I'm
like
not
the sauce inside. I don't like it on top and cold. Sorry, John, you were going to make a great point before
I was just
going
going to say this about the kicker one last time is, people go, well, now you're going to entrust in a rookie who wasn't on your team to come in here. You're just going to trust off of film. I think it speaks volumes of where Goody sees this team. He sees this team as what could go wrong. Yeah, he could come in and be a hot garbage disaster, right?
Mhm.
He could be. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. I talked about variance with kickers, and it's not that great in the NFL because they're all phenomenal kickers. There's 32 jobs in the world
right
to do this. There's 32 jobs in the world to do this. 32 guys out of 6.8 billion or however many people are walking the earth. They're going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
They're all going to be good. The variance isn't that great. You got a Justin Tucker that's an outlier, and maybe somebody who's really terrible that's an outlier. He doesn't last too long. What could go wrong? A hot dumpster fire? I get it. But this says we don't care. We are going to try. We aren't going to accept mediocre. We are going to try for excellence in every facet of this team.
Yeah, and be aggressive in doing it, not sit around and wait for something. I like, it's a admirable approach. Not everyone has it. I don't know, but sometimes it's like, let's wait and see. Let's be patient. You can usually get caught one or two ways saying, I want to grow my guys. I want to believe in my guys. I don't want to panic. But then it's like, we feel a sense of urgency with this team. So you got to respect it. And it is just a kicker. I mean, it's not like he has to come in and learn an offense and do all. I'm not saying it's not important. I'm saying you can switch out a kicker. I mean, you can do it. You can, if Narveson doesn't work out for the first 6 weeks,
then
the
they will
Packers,
move.
They
Yes.
can make a move,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't be that wild to do that,
How much of the scouting report, John, do you think came down to, or scouting report's wrong way of putting it, but in the entrust of we're going to figure it out, he'll be okay, was the game on the line? It's a preseason game, but it's the biggest moment that he's ever kicked in. Right? Like how much of it is that to say, hey, we got a moment, we got to see him in that moment, and dude perform better than we believe either of these cats are going to potentially.
Yeah, I think that's important, but I think even more what Armin just mentioned, right? If it doesn't work by week 3, you can move on.
Yeah.
Big
week 3 for him.
If the Packers like the film,
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming other teams like the film.
Yeah.
And if you said, well, we're going to give Carlson to like week 3, because if you took Armin's approach and just superimposed it over top of Carlson or Joseph, you can just make a switch week 3. But you can't do it to this guy possibly.
Good point.
Right? This guy might not be there anymore possibly.
Yeah.
So if you're going to make a move to this guy you had to do now. To be sure, you had to do that now.
Makes sense.
And I'd much rather you try something new at the start of the season,
Right away.
not week 6,
Yeah.
week 7.
Let's not delay the inevitable.
Yeah.
And how about this? How do Malik Willis and Braden Narveson help us beat the Tennessee Titans in week 3? Right? Like how do both
all the
potentially
scouting
score?
reports out there?
Beautiful
all the
work.
scouting reports.
That's exactly what we needed.
Well, and here's another thing too, and for people that go, well, how often does changing a kicker midstream work for a team, and how long does this guy last, and what yada yada? I watched a kicker get brought into a team literally days before the first game. The 2 guys they had in camp competing got cut, and this new kicker came in. His name was Will Lutz, and he made a Pro Bowl, and he was still kicking in the league. So I've seen it happen.
Yeah, I one time watched this cat named Chase McLaughlin kick maybe the worst game-winning field goal of all time. I think he actually kicked it up the tunnel at Levi Stadium. Last year, he was 93% on field goals. So it could work. It can turn around very, very quickly for somebody, or it can go very, very south very, very quickly for cats in the NFL. 414-799-1973. 608 said, did you guys hear Malik's interview? Very smart, grateful, humble, super excited to see him on the team and have Tom do his thing. Well, Brian Gutekunst said that Malik Willis has been doing his thing in the pocket a little bit more. Thinks that the Packers will be able to help him achieve a next level of play in his NFL career. Excited to see that, and also excited for more of these Detroit pizza takes to flow in because they're the right kinds. Detroit style is trash from Tristan and Wausau.
All right, I don't mind Detroit pizza. I don't know where all this Detroit pizza is.
Eric and Trumpla is the best one. Detroit style pizza always makes me think some pizza chef got high, cooked the pizza, and realized he forgot the sauce, so he just threw it on at the end.
Yeah, but it's that crispy edge. It's chewy, and I'm fine.
Yeah, it's not good. 414-799-1973. And for me to say anything good about Chicago style pizza is good, because I mean that's just straight lasagna.
It is just a big, basically plate of lasagna or casserole.
Which I like casserole. I like lasagna.
Right, but when you want pizza, you don't want that. Right. Yeah, I get that.
But when you want entertainment, you want potentially sports gambling advice. You also want to know the most about the Wisconsin Badgers and Western Michigan game coming up when Matt LePay joins us in 40 minutes from right now. We got everything you could possibly want on 9 to noon. I don't know why you'd turn anywhere else for your midday entertainment when John Kuhn, our two-time Super Bowl champions right there, Armin Sarian's there. I'm fresh off vocal maintenance. It's going to be a banner day. We're stay wide on the game. 9 to noon on the game. Billy Schmid, John Kuhn, two-time Super Bowl champion with you and Armin Sarian. You know the name, you know the hand. No, you're right. Hold on. Sorry, let me.
We didn't do it first segment.
Yeah, bring the music back up. I apologize. I should redo that. Good time for the music to come back. It's 9 to noon on the game. Welcome back. I'm Billy Schmid, our two-time Super Bowl champion, John Kuhn, with all of you on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line. That might have been our best one yet, Armin.
Really good. We were both into it. That was
John, you seeing this right now?
That was the key. Okay, sorry, yeah. I didn't see you. Sorry
about
good.
That. 10 seconds that I was sitting there waiting for my man Armin Sarian to finish the dab.
Well, it is what it is. I got stuff going on here. All right.
I think you just got too dialed in and excited.
John, are you seeing this?
Are you seeing this right now? Arm just extended out, hanging out, waiting. That would have been John's best Armin impression right there.
That's the worst. Perfect. When you're caught on video not getting the dap, or what happened yesterday really quick, and there was a quick Twitter on U.S. Open the tennis where the guy brought back 2 drinks for the girl, and the girl had the drink.
No.
Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
Oh, that was a masterpiece.
Mm-hmm. But do you think? I mean, here's the deal: you make lemonade when you're given lemons. Now you're double fisted.
Now I'm housing one.
I'm sorry, your side piece just got snatched by the guy sitting behind you. Oh well, you were 5 seconds late with the drink. Laura, you got 2 drinks. I don't know.
So funny.
Laura and my brother-in-law went to the U.S. Open, and those are not cheap drinks. They got those drinks, I think, similar drinks.
Really?
That. Yeah, there's some special drink they make, or it's like a Long Island, basically. And
they're partying like that at the U.S. Open.
Yeah, it's a big complex, and you can get a special drink with the U.S. Open cup. I was salty. I didn't get to go. It was like I don't know.
You did get that nice hat though.
She brought me a hat.
She did bring you a hat.
I like to wear that hat a lot. It's a comfortable hat.
How would you have responded if you came back with one of those very expensive drinks, and then Laura, your wife, then did have somebody behind her just be like, "Oh, it's a really, really nice young lady sitting all by herself. I'm going to buy her one."
I don't care.
As you're walking back down,
buy her a drink. She's coming home with me. So if you want to spend your money on the drink, you might as well just hand me a 20, because that's what you just did. So I appreciate that. I don't think that would happen though. Well, you never know. I don't know.
Why would it not happen? Laura's a lovely young lady.
I know.
I think people would definitely be trying to.
Well, she's wearing a ring. I would think that. You know.
Yeah. Well, listen, Ashley Madison documentaries definitely made people be a little bit more adventurous and think that they could do just about anything and everything that they've wanted to do. That's for sure.
True.
Aaron Nagler, we'll go to the U.S. Open next year. Lock it in. Nags. Sure. Yeah. Yes.
Wait, is Nags listening?
Yep.
Oh, like.
Yeah. Going to the U.S. Open. We're going to watch tennis.
I would love to go.
Going to watch tennis.
Come on, it's not bad. You watch some action. You can walk to a different court. There's multiple courts.
I've heard it's unbelievable. I've heard it's just an absolute electric factory. I'd love to go. Yes.
Are you being funny, John, or are you just trying to like?
No, I'm being dead serious.
Okay.
No, big sporting events that in the United States, it's really cool. I mean, you talk about it. This is the only Grand Slam for tennis that
in the
United States gets.
Correct. That's
true.
This is the one chance if you really want to see Federer. Formerly, see Federer,
the stars,
Nadal, now Djokovic, maybe
Alcaraz,
Zverev, or
Sinner if he's not suspended.
You can go as Yannick Sinner and boo him or do whatever you want. I mean, the U.S. Open is a rowdier crowd than any other tennis event, any other one.
Would this be like the live of tennis, so I could go and actually get like rowdy and have fun, or do I have to be like on my hands and knees? Not hands and knees. Sorry, hands on sitting. I
guess so. Yeah.
Wrong way. All right, vocal maintenance not good.
It's more of an active audience. I'd say more intense and rowdy. It's fun to watch on TV. The thing about U.S. Open golf,
Billy,
I love it. Golf.
I'm interested now.
You'd love it simply because tennis is such an easy game to invest on.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm thinking.
There are so many different investments. We did it yesterday. We had a nail biter victory. Armin, did you see the second set of that? 7-6.
I just saw the results. I didn't watch the match, but yeah, I know it was close.
They had half the games in the second set.
Right, so it makes it tough, right? Obviously. Yeah, so no, it's fun. As opposed to like in U.S. Open golf, you're watching one tournament on one course.
Yeah,
the tennis tournament, there's multiple events. So if you want to watch different, once you're in the complex,
okay, you sold me. I'm in.
Let's do it.
I'm actually in. Yeah,
it's the worst time of the year for us. It's right when football starts, so it's hard to like get out there and do
Labor Day weekend. As long as they decide to not move the NFL up, we should be okay.
Well, right? Yeah, but these days they want to put NFL. I'm told that I should stop complaining and that I shouldn't want my Labor Day weekend NFL free. That's what I'm told. So I guess, hey, far be it from me to sit here and want a Labor Day weekend without the NFL because that's what tradition was. I was going back and forth with Mike Heller on this too.
Oh yeah, Mike fights it even stronger than I do. I just like football, right? I just want more football. So I'm going to be okay if they make the move. However, not just some people wanting no football over the weekend. Listen, Big Ten teams are opening up tonight. Colorado, North Dakota State fires up tonight here. There's a ton of college football. There's like 4 ranked teams kicking off here tonight on a bunch of different networks. NC North Carolina State Wolfpack, go crazy for Braden Arvison. They're going to be kicking off here tonight against Western Carolina. So football gets going this weekend, but it's not like everybody is chomping at the bit. Two Badgers going to enjoy their whole weekend off because they're going to kick off tomorrow night, beat the snot out of Western Michigan, and then people are going to be able to drink beer for the first time at Camp Randall tomorrow night, which is going to be adding to a totally different vibe. I'm excited to ask Matt LePay about that part when he comes up at 25 minutes because I probably should have done more research. I don't believe Matt's ever called a Badger game in Camp Randall when they've sold beer, right? Because like now they've done it here. I don't know if there was ever a moment in time when they did previously. He got a little taste of the action last year at the Kohl Center when they were selling cold ones, John. I think it's just a no-brainer. It's huge. It's going to be so much better when it's 80 degrees tomorrow night and folks are at 8 o'clock getting ready for the kickoff of Western Michigan. And you can just enjoy the heck out of the Labor Day weekend and kick it off the best way possible.
You know, why do I hear everybody talk about the students, and you think the students are going to come in and drink here when they can drink cheaper outside? Do you think the students are going to come in? Half of them, aren't even 21. Why is this about the students?
Oh, here we go. Now we're talking.
Why is this not about everybody else? Why are we making this always about the students? This is about everybody else. This is about me and you and Armin, Billy.
Mm-hmm.
This is about, Brenton Franklin and Drew and Greenfield. They go down there to Madison, partake in the game. They can partake in the festivities as well. I think this is a clear winner. I think this will, make sitting at Camp Randall even more fun. Not that Camp Randall wasn't one of the, I do think Camp Randall's up there. I would put it tier 2 in college football stadiums, but tier 2 is still a fantastic tier.
Very, very good.
Still fantastic tier, still a fantastic feel. And I think this elevates it a little bit. Let's call it tier 1.5 now.
Yeah, and Randy and Salas is right. You could have it in like the terrace, like the special South End Zone Club. The last couple of years, you could buy alcohol in there.
I'm going to keep it real.
No one's in there. I'm talking general pop, baby. I'm talking about the 80,000 that are hanging out enjoying the game, John.
That's what I'm talking about too. Because if you're talking about having some cocktails, road sodas while you're walking around the stadium. I've done that before because it's very easy to make your way in an elevator up a couple floors and bing, bang, boom, right?
Yes.
So you could do that. But I'm talking about in the regular bowl, sitting there on the bleachers.
Say, hey, I'm going to go to the bathroom. You want a Coors Light? Yeah, actually, I do.
Not only that,
let's do it.
Not only that, you can get a Potosi Brewing Varsity Golden Ale and 20% will go to the collective. So
now we're talking.
You can help your NIL collective. You can help the varsity collective. You can help the team while you're drinking. Like, guys, if we get together and we drink enough, we can make sure we have enough money to get these recruits in here. Like, you know what I mean?
To get the best fullback possible next year.
It's like
I love that.
I might be gambling, but I'm using player points. So at least I'm earning points. So let's go. See, that's the thing too. You can drink that NIL collective beer. It's Potosi Brewing has Varsity Golden Ale.
Okay.
Well, why not?
Sounds good.
If I'm given 2 options, that's probably what I'm going to drink. If I want to help my team win. You know what I'm saying? So
it's just one beer.
There might be more.
Just one
That's
brand.
all I can see right now.
Yeah, just the varsity one is the one that goes to the student. The other one goes to the other side. They also do have the seltzers, and I believe wine is also being sold.
Yeah, but why would you not drink the Varsity Collective beer?
That's Armin,
I know.
It's like the people that buy a Quick Trip coffee and don't get the Packer Cup.
Fair enough.
They offer the other ones for a reason. It doesn't mean that they're good reasons.
I had a friend tell me that he was walking through one of the grocery stores, not a Quick Trip yet. Not a Quick Trip.
Should have been a Quick Trip.
And he saw a seltzer that is, it's got Delta 8s, Delta 9s in it. It's a seltzer. I was floored. I didn't know this was a thing.
Oh, yeah. The Drift Seltzer from Happy Place Hemp, happyplacehemp.com. We'll make you an even better one. The Happy Place Hemp going to be able to provide you the right kind with the Drift Seltzer.
How see, and that's what's a trip to me. Like that stuff.
Oh, it'll be a trip. That's for sure.
How do they make that how does that possible? It's now it's at gas stations too, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah. We can fill it all in the details in the commercial break podcast. But yeah, there's some different legalities, and Rob and Chris at Happy Place Hemp can give you all the right examples, but there's a math equation, John, that, listen, I'm not even potentially smart enough to be able to get all of that in. But Brian in New Berlin is, and he has a really interesting take on the quarterback stance that we were getting into in the earlier segment. Hey, guys, what do you think the Packers also picked up Malik Willis in order to run other teams' plays against their defense in practice for their scout? Since we play a lot of running quarterbacks this season, like Jalen Hurts, Anthony Richardson, Kyler Murray, now Caleb Williams twice. Wondering what you would think about that as a scout team ability for Malik Willis to help out.
I mean, yeah, but that's not why you bring a guy onto your 53. It's not why you trade a 7th round pick.
Yeah.
Right. You've played against running quarterbacks in the past. You kind of understand that deal. And if you have to, you throw a wide receiver back there and let him run around a little bit and have people chase him. It's not about that. Malik Willis is brought in here because they think he can help this team if they get in a pinch.
Yeah.
Right. He is your AAA. You get a flat, you're back on the road. That's the reason he's here.
I think he's also here because they're excited to see what they can do when Tom Clements gets his hands on him. Green Bay, a little bit different than other teams have around the league. I'm excited to see if you get a better play, a different style of play out of him here in Green Bay with this kind of coaching. All right, 414-799-1973. Big Daddy Patty. Talking about Braden Narbison. Let the kid kick. He's going to do great. Narb Dog will win us games this year. Just you watch. We'll ask Rich Bisaccia that if he thinks that he's going to win games for him this year. Rich Bisaccia will be asked that coming up at 2:00. I believe pretty strongly you'll hear a decent amount of that coming up on the Mike Heller show coming up at 2:00. I do know in 20 minutes you're going to hear from Matt LePay. He's going to talk some Wisconsin Badgers. He'll talk that Varsity Collective cold beer that they're going to have at Camp Randall, amongst other things, with the red and white as they get ready to start up their season. And on the other side, as the Packers have rounded out their 53-man initial roster, two teams with big questions as to big pieces on theirs. And the nerves are starting to get testy in Cincinnati and San Francisco. Wait till you hear John Lynch and Zach Taylor. It's 9 to noon after this. Hey, guys, football season is right around the corner next week. 1 week from tonight, the NFL will start up. And that means 1 week from tonight, you can be playing the NFL Pick'em game on Underdog Fantasy and be like millions of people last year who got in the game, made money, making picks on Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your money in a single night. All you do is select higher or lower on a player stats, build out your Pick'em entry between 2 to 8 players on a couple of NFL teams, and away we go. You watch all night long on the Underdog Fantasy app. They're updating your stats on how many receptions does my player have. Ooh, now he has higher than 2.5. Sweet. That one's a winner. Now you start counting it out. The Underdog Fantasy app updates your stats and your picks all night long, so you know how close your picks are to winning. It's fantastic. Making picks on Underdog is super easy, but it's even easier to get started. Just download the app today or go to UnderdogFantasy.com. But sign up with promo code Billy, and Underdog will give you a highly discounted pick to use on your first Pick'em entry, plus a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. You heard me right. Underdog Fantasy, promo code Billy, Billy. Claim your new customer special of a gimme first pick and a deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's Underdog Fantasy. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. 9 to noon on the game. College football opens up in earnest tonight. A ton of games, bunch of ranked games. Western Carolina against NC State. All these big time Central Florida fans going crazy for the New Hampshire kickoff coming up tonight.
You don't think Trey's fired up for Howard and Rutgers?
Well,
come on, Trey.
I don't know how Trey's going to be feeling about his Howard Bison going up to take on the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. Rutgers expect to be good this year. People are high on the Scarlet Knights this year. People like that Shianu ball. They're excited to see what it goes through.
He's a known quantity. By the way, that line just moved at Potawatomi Sportsbook within the last 120 seconds of us talking. It's 38.5 now if you want Rutgers.
I just saw 38.5. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
it was 36.5 earlier on today. So if you want the Scarlet Knights, speed down to Canal Street.
Or if you want Howard, you got more wood, baby. Right?
Well, you also got Buffaloes versus Bison.
What is that? Okay, so
Colorado against North Dakota State.
Right.
If you think that's not going to be on my television,
that's a good game.
Sorely mistaken.
Let's be honest. Everyone's watching to see what Colorado's going to do for one reason or another, right? You either love them or you hate them.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, well, Coach Prime's the most polarizing cat in all of. I mean, I'd say almost all of sports, John. Like you have a take.
Didn't he win Sportsman of the Year last year?
Mm-hmm. Sports Person of the Year.
Person of the Year. With 4 wins? With 4 wins.
Yep, 4-8 season.
Tell me, just somebody try to tell me that propaganda doesn't work. Somebody try to tell me that, raising awareness and attention and, engaging interest and engagement farming. Tell me it doesn't work. I'm half convinced that most of the stuff Prime does that we look at and we say, no rational person's going to say that. No rational person's going to do that. I'm half tempted to believe he's just like Don King and he's engagement farming. That's all he's doing.
And I know in the crosstalk yesterday, you and Mike were going back and forth on that. Mike's thing is if they don't start winning, it won't matter. But, right now he's getting results in terms of at least attention, money, whatever you want to talk about.
Well, and think about this result. All right. So on 3 Sports today, as it's the kickoff of college football, John, put out their top 10 NIL valuations, right? So this doesn't necessarily mean all the money these guys are getting. It's what their valuation and what their equation would put at the most valuable players NIL version, name, image, and likeness in college football. And 2 of the top 3 players play for Colorado, right? Yeah. Shedeur Sanders, his valuation is just under $5 million as a quarterback at Colorado who's now started for 4 years, played a number of games at Jackson State before transferring here. If their offensive line play doesn't protect him better this year, he won't be able to showcase. Dude is wildly talented, and he's going to be a guy that NFL teams are excited to see. Travis Hunter is an electric factory. Yeah. But if their depth allows them to, John, they're going to be very, very interesting to watch this year.
Travis Hunter plays 131 plays a game.
Yep.
Are you kidding me? What he is doing is special. It's something we haven't seen in college football since the 40s or 50s, Billy.
Yeah, like
and
Bednarik style.
And sadly, he doesn't get the, kind of credit that he deserves for what he is doing, right? I've talked with several scouts around the league about both Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. And, there's a couple question marks there, but there's no doubt both these guys are getting drafted and getting drafted very high.
Yeah, first round guys, yep.
Very high. And there are question marks like with Shedeur. He's got, I'm told he's got a hell of an arm. Like in college, he can throw the damn ball. The problem is he's slight frame, slight of build. So you worry about, durability and longevity. And really anytime you have a smaller quarterback. With Travis Hunter, it's, man, he's so athletic. You don't know where you put him.
Yeah.
You don't know, like, and if you put him somewhere, do you potentially put him at the wrong spot and he's better at the other spot and then you've ruined what you drafted? The question marks are interesting about these two because it's not about their play. They're fantastic. But everything about Colorado is Deion. It's always been about Deion. So, and I, for one, I hate to say, but I think it's gonna be a cataclysmic disaster this year. I do.
Oh, so you might be thinking the Bison are up in the Buffs tonight. Because
I like
plus
plus 10.
320.
I do too.
I like plus
I do
10.
too. Yeah.
I mean, I like it.
Yeah.
I like plus 10.
Plus 320. Let's get real.
Oh, you're going money line?
You're
I'm
going
not
money
gonna
line.
listen. I'm not going to go
Well,
money
let's-
line.
well,
I'm not
geez.
picking FBS
Well,
versus FCS and going money line.
well,
I'm going
if
to take the points.
If we got him, let's put him on the table.
All I
right?
know is that if I've said this a number of times and I stick with it and I live by it. If I'm a head coach and I see a Dakota on my schedule,
Yep.
I'm going into the athletic director's office and saying, what the actual hell?
That's same in basketball.
Stop doing this. All right. Don't do this to us again.
It's a lose-lose situation.
It is.
You
Yep.
beat them.
Good. Should have.
Okay, you should have beat them, whatever. And if you lose, you're Michigan from, 10 years ago
App
when
State,
they
yeah.
blocked field goal.
Which was
It's a lose-lose.
which is still one of the craziest things and one of my favorite. Now, this would be Armin Sarian's stat of the day. I don't know that it's actually a stat. That was like the first day that they were airing games on Big Ten Network.
And that was like their
Was the
first big
App
one.
State? That was their first game on Big Ten Network.
It's a good memory, Billy. Yeah. Wow. That's crazy.
And people are like, why can I not watch this game? Why can I not watch this game? Oh, because it's on a channel that nobody has.
That nobody has yet. And now there's 17 Big Ten channels on DirecTV.
Yes.
On DirecTV, Armin, you have to figure that out.
You just got to find as many of them. But hey, I did see nothing on top. Nothing on top with the DirecTV, John. That's the new deal. You were telling me about that with no dish. George Kittle telling everybody nothing on top. FS1 tomorrow night is where you can watch Badgers in Western Michigan. You don't even have to know that. All you have to know is 97.3 The Game is your home for Badgers football. WIBA in Madison, your home for Badgers football. And that's where you hear this man, Matt LePay, who joins us coming up after the break, who within the last hour called me a slacker online. So we're
gonna have to address this.
Well, I think he might be right. He might be right. And I'm excited to be able to talk with the voice of Wisconsin Badgers football and men's basketball. But we're focused on the football side because football season is here. We see a Dale and Oak Creek. You're first up just before that as well. It is 9 to noon. That's John Kuhn. I'm Billy Schmid. Armin Sarian here as well. We're back after this with hour 2 statewide on the game. Hour 2, 9 to noon, brought to you by Happy Place Hemp and HappyPlaceHemp.com. Everybody relax with Happy Place Hemp. Get 25% off your entire order, including Delta 8, Delta 9 gummies, strictly recreational for the holiday weekend, or CBN, CBD gummies. Drift seltzers let you drift into happiness as well with CBD infused seltzers. Beautiful way to start up the weekend with Happy Place Hemp, HappyPlaceHemp.com. 25% off your entire order every time using promo code Billy at HappyPlaceHemp.com. All right, since your boy was horrendous time management wise on the last segment, we're squeezing Dale here quickly before the illustrious Hall of Fame broadcaster Matt LePay. Dale in Oak Creek, you're on 9 to noon. I apologize for making you wait. You're on with John Kuhn. What do you got, man?
Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Dale.
So I'm very disappointed about Greg Joseph, because I don't know why the Packers traded Greg Joseph in the first place. Because I think they should have kept him, because no one so I haven't seen him, but I think everybody else hasn't seen him either.
Mm-hmm.
And if he stayed on the Packers this year, I think he would be a good a fit for the Packers, and I think they would make it to the Super Bowl. But now I don't think the Packers are going to make it to the Super Bowl this year, but let's hope they win their season this year. I don't know. And go Pack-O.
Go Pack, go, Dale. We appreciate it, man. Hold that hope out. Hold that hope. John, I still think they could make it to the Super Bowl. I absolutely do. Now,
did he heel turn just on the kicker?
Just on Greg Joseph.
I think so, yeah.
Big Greg Joseph guy.
Oh yeah, he did like Greg.
He's talking to another one. I'm a big Greg Joseph fan, but I do still think that they can. I still do think that they can make it.
He did make your initial 53.
He did. Yes.
Yeah.
So I did. I was right. Yes.
He did make the initial 53.
Yep.
He just didn't make the second day of it.
So can I put that flag down into the ground that take was right, that he won the competition against Anders Carlson, just lost his competition against Braden Arvison, NA, and not available.
I think you can definitely claim victory over Anders, but yeah.
I'm just going to stop the conversation right there.
And that's what you did. Well, Greg Joseph did beat out Anders Carlson.
Yeah. Beep, beep. Over. Done with it. Wave to it. Bye, Charlie. Because now we got to welcome on the man, the myth, the legend, the Hall of Famer, Matt LePay. That conversation's got to be over. Sorry, Greg Joseph won against Anders Carlson. That's the end of the conversation. We got to get on to games that are going to matter, games that are going to be played in front of fans who will be lubricated in the entire stadium for the first time in Camp Randall Stadium. And Matt LePay is going to be bringing you all of the sights, the sounds, and all of the touchdown Wisconsin celebrations as the Badgers take on Western Michigan right here on the game coming up tomorrow night. Matt, appreciate it. As always, we're excited to be getting ready for games each and every week here. Most importantly, how long have you had this board ready? Is this one for game one where you started working on this weeks ago because you just could not wait for your excitement for Badger football to kick off here at 8:00 kickoff tomorrow night?
Yeah, in part, and in part because nobody on this roster I knew anything about with Western Michigan. So it's like, you better start that memorization game a little earlier than normal. There are 4 Wisconsin guys on the roster, but otherwise, yeah, I didn't have a whole lot of background. That's the beauty of colleges. You know, I was talking with Wayne and Kevin Harlan yesterday. We're doing our little podcast, and you know, the preseason, John, as you know, like the prep that you're doing and the expanded rosters. The closest thing I can come to that are these non-conference games. Like, who are these guys? Who? So yeah, Billy, I'm eager for it, but in my advanced age, I need extra time to try to memorize these guys too.
All right, so tell us what are you finding out? Who are these guys?
They are guys with new coordinators on both sides of the ball, so that adds to probably the digging into the preparation for Luke Fickell and his staff. But they, like Wisconsin, they have a transfer quarterback. Their guy is in his second year, though. He played 3 years at Old Dominion, but he's built similarly to Tyler Van Dyke. Their quarterback's name is Hayden Wolf. He's like 6'5", 230, 235, and proved last year he could throw the ball around really effectively. Their leading receiver is a guy named Kenneth Womack. His statistics were really similar to Wisconsin's leading receiver last year in Will Pauling. A ton of catches. I'm sure they would like to distribute the ball a little bit better, much like Wisconsin would like to this year. And they do have a 1,000-yard rusher in Jalen Buckley. In a year where a lot of their stats offensively were similar to Wisconsin's, which is to say not great. Buckley was a really good running back for them. He was the freshman of the year in the Mid-American Conference. He looks like he's a guy who can run with a little bit of power, 5'10", 210 pounds. But he did, you're going at 5.5 yards a pop last year, which is pretty good for an offense that, much like Wisconsin, as I said, had its struggles.
Matt, you mentioned it, transfer quarterback for Western Michigan. Now, hopefully that can change because Little Birdie told me that through the recruiting cycle, they're getting a really good quarterback coming in from next year's class, actually from the state of Wisconsin. When you do see all these different programs, people have only talked about it from the big time, Power Fives, the Ohio State going to grabbing Will Howard and Dylan Gabriel going to Oregon. Everybody looks at those big time programs doing it, but also in the MAC and in the Mountain West, they seem to be going that route as well, where you're getting players with a different level of maturity who have played in college football. It seems like it is fully the way of the present. We've only talked about it. Is this the future? This is the present for seemingly 70+% of schools.
Yeah, it is. I saw a tweet a couple of days ago from a guy named Ross Bellinger, who's covered college football for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I think the number is 63% of the starting quarterbacks in the power conference schools, 63% are transfers. Now, the Mid-American Conference is not a power conference school, but their guy, he's in his second year at Western as a quarterback, and he's also working with his 7th offensive coordinator. Tyler Van Dyke's working with his 4th. So that's a little extreme, but I guess when we revisit this in a couple of years, it might not be extreme. You're going to see more and more of this. Western didn't lose a lot of guys, or maybe anybody, who had a prominent role last year, but they did bring in some in the portal. A couple guys from Louisville to add depth to their defensive line. One of their linebackers was at Minnesota for 3 years. He's in his second year at Western Michigan. So sometimes they'll go from a power school to a Mid-American Conference or American Athletic just to find the right fit. And it's, Wisconsin has gotten a couple guys from FCS schools. And as you guys know, if you can play, you can play. I mean, if you're really productive, Wisconsin's counting on a guy who was a standout at William and Mary last year, John Pius. He was an FCS All-American, but he's going to be a big part of their defense. So it's becoming more and more, NFL-like or pro sports-like, where you're going to see guys who are playing for 2, 3, and, sometimes even 4 schools. I don't know if that's going to go away. I guess we'll see this time next year with the revenue sharing with schools directly compensating these guys, if there's more binding contracts or buyouts or all of that stuff is still to be determined.
Speaking of this game here tomorrow night, and you think about the win probability estimator at Wisconsin, 87%. When you have a game like this for a coaching staff with Fickell, how much pressure do you think they actually feel to get this thing kicked? It's not just about winning this year, I think, against a team like Western Kentucky. I think you have to beat them convincingly. Am I wrong in assuming that, Matt?
No, I agree with you fully, John. That last year, Billy would probably know this. I don't know what the spread was for the first game against Buffalo. Billy, you probably got that at the ready.
35.5.
Yeah, he remembers.
Yeah.
Well, Wisconsin won that game, I think, by 21 points, but did not look very good doing it. And Luke Fickell walked off the field that day not very happy. It was like, this team maybe isn't as good as I thought. Now, it's easy to snap judge after a first game, but, he saw some things that maybe rocked him a little bit. So tomorrow night, you want to win. You want to, dominate if you possibly can. To try to build a little something, get a little confidence going for yourself to get ready for next week, and then Alabama in week 3. So Alvarez used to talk about this all the time, and every coach wants to. You want to be as clean as possible, avoid the silly penalties, all the things, the missed tackles. That's why they were more physical in their training camp this year. They scrimmaged. They had 3 really good scrimmages, and then at other practices, they were still bringing guys to the ground. They want to cut down on the missed tackles from a year ago. So, it's I don't want to get into the style points thing, but I guess I am here. You want to win and you want to look pretty good doing it. You want to feel good about yourself to start the year.
I really do as well, Matt, because Lance Allen and I want to be talking about a very convincing victory, and hopefully with a couple of extra shekels in the pocket, if indeed that number can be covered. You mentioned it on the defensive side, and big ups and congratulations to Mumajong Meta for making the Cincinnati Bengals undrafted free agent. That's a fantastic win for that young man who did everything right, and he was in the midst of a little bit of a transition, right? Defense didn't necessarily fit him a year ago. Jake Chaney moves from 36 to 1, Matt. I know you already have that on the chart. I think it's a massive victory already for the Badger defense, but it does appear that Mike Tressel might have more players, especially that linebacker spot. I know you mentioned Pius earlier, but fellas that they grabbed in the transfer portal that fit more as to what they want to do on that side of the ball.
Yeah, joining Jake Chaney inside is Jaheim Thomas, who started his career at Cincinnati. Last year was at Arkansas, kind of what we were talking about a minute ago. Now he's at his third school at Wisconsin, but he's familiar with Luke Fickell and Mike Tressel and what they do defensively. And, he's got it. He's a little bit more, has somebody with a little more length to him. He's 6'4", moves well. Leon Lowry outside. He's transferred from Syracuse. Go back inside. Tackett Curtis, someone they tried to recruit when they were at Cincinnati. He was at USC last year. He started 8 games. He's now at Wisconsin. So, yeah, through the portal, it really seems like the linebacker position might be the most noticeable change. They wanted to get a little bit more speed, a little bit more length. And you're right, Billy, about Muma. I mean, a couple of years ago, he was a really productive player in Jim Leonard's defense, and philosophically, they changed some things, and it wasn't as good of a fit. But their knack of getting undrafted free agents, especially the linebacker position in recent years. I mean, the Bears now with T.J. Edwards and Jack Sanborn, neither of those guys was a draft pick, and now Mumajong Meta making the 53 at Cincinnati. It's just you find the right team with the right fit, and good for Muma, who's a great guy, smart, is wicked smart. But yeah, the fit maybe wasn't perfect for him, but I think they've got more guys now who fit what they want to do defensively.
Matt, if you look at futures for winning the Big Ten, Ohio State is the favorite, but Oregon is right there on their heels. What would it say about the Big Ten? What would it say about Ryan Day if Ohio State doesn't win the Big Ten this year and it is Oregon?
Man, that is, having grown up there and gone to school there, and that was a million years ago, I know, but it's just that Ohio State, John, to me is probably the closest thing to an SEC kind of environment that there is in the Big Ten. I was talking to somebody earlier this week. If, let's say, Ohio State wins the national championship but loses to Michigan, there will be people there who will put an asterisk on this. They've lost 3.
Yep.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, 3 years in a row, they've lost to their rival. And they have gone all in. They have become the Dodgers or the Yankees. Some $20 million have gone into football through NIL, roster retention, and the portal. You got Urban Meyer chirping that this might be the most talented team that college football has had. Like, wow, that's I'm sure Ryan Day is going, thanks, buddy. But Oregon is really good, and Ohio State has to go to Eugene. Ohio State has to go to State College to play Penn State, but there is no denying the pressure that's on Ohio State right now. I mean, there are some teams, if you could get in the 12-team playoff, that's unbelievable. Hell of an accomplishment. Ohio State's one of those select few. You're expected to get in, and you better go really deep. And those guys that might be the closest thing in college football this year to national title or bust, fair or unfair, that's what they're dealing with this year.
Well, Ryan Day said it. Listen, we need like $20 million to fill out the whole roster.
Yep.
And Matt, they're like, all right, hold our beer. We'll give it to you in 20 minutes.
You
and then
got it.
They got the $20 million. Now he's got to figure out how they can win with it. Like,
oh shoot, they gave me what I asked for.
Yeah,
I better figure it out.
And for a team that wants to, they do the hired gun thing and they get guys and NIL and it's like, you're right, national championship or bust. Now the playoff, it's going to be harder than ever to make it through that gauntlet, right? I mean, once upon a time,
long season,
right? And then you have to win all these playoff games, and there's going to be more variance. So it's going to be interesting to see how frustrated Ohio State fans get if they don't get that, right, man?
Yeah, we see it now, in other sports where there are more doors open to get into the postseason, but once you get there, you got a lot more to navigate.
Yeah, absolutely.
I make the comparison, and it can't be completely a straight up comparison, but for me, having been associated with the Brewers, lucky enough to fill in over there for 8 years, and what I see with Wisconsin athletics in general, but specifically with football, you're never going to be able to go dollar for dollar with Ohio State, Georgia, Bama, Texas, all of that. Just like the Brewers will never go dollar for dollar with the Yankees, the Dodgers, so on and so forth. So you got to find different ways. Wisconsin, over the last 30 years, more often than not, has been very, very competitive. Maybe not national title good, but they put themselves in position to at least have a shot, much like we've seen with the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, the next step is trying to break through. You need all the planets to align. But I try to shy away, or I'm trying to, they don't get into the revenue discrepancy, because after a while, fans don't want to hear that.
Yeah, totally.
They want to see the best product. And if you've got to do it a little differently, then go do it a little differently. And that's what's going to be fascinating watching Wisconsin. It has upped its game, without a doubt. And what it's trying to do with the indoor facility they're raising money for, they're trying to bump up the NIL as much as they possibly can. But you just have to find those guys who, might be a little under the radar, who blossom. And that's the trick. And that's what they're trying to do right now with what Fickell and this program are trying to put together.
Well, and you mentioned it with raising as much money as possible. We were talking about it, highlighting, and excited for it. Now, post-game show host is not going to partake, Matt. I just want to let you know that. All right. Not going to partake
in what
in the cold beers that are now available at Camp Randall Stadium. I want Matt to know that
until you're off air.
Billy, what if a couple of your investments don't go well and you have knowledge of that before the post game?
I can't do it, Matt. No, but I do. I do want to invest in the Badger program. So I'm taking Heller's red and white black card. We're taking that down, and we're just going to buy a bunch of the varsity ales. So then we can start supporting into the NIL collective, because Armin was saying some of those proceeds go to the collective. So I think that is how we're going to, just so you know, when they say, hey, LePay, I saw the guy doing post games buying 100 beers down in the 200 or in the, in section 8 or Q. No, it was because I was using it to then support the program. I just want you to know that. Let that out of the bag.
It's important, man. Anything to help the ball club.
Yes.
And it's actually, it's pretty good beer, by the way. I don't know if you've ever had it, but it's pretty tasty. I'm quite sure you will enjoy it, Billy. So yeah, I think, it's all about helping the ball club. I think you should feel free. And if things go well tomorrow, which, we all hope they do, or I think the overwhelming majority of us hope they do, then, you should feel free. You should, maybe just, throw one back, just, a little, everything in moderation.
Yeah,
right, Billy?
For sure.
We'll trust you.
Well, maybe there'll be
a big night for you.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, so it's all good.
Well, I'm excited, man. I'm really, really looking forward to it. Now, fans, I will say, I know that I'm going to get a lot of people that are saying, hey, man, Red Hot Tim Scott, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. All right. Red Hot Tim Scott, Badger post game. We thank him for all the years that he has done it. I'm going to man that wheel, and we're going to drive that bad boy right to Indianapolis for a Big Ten championship game. Maybe not this year, one of these years though, because they extended that, Matt. So I have a couple of years for him to potentially get there to Indianapolis.
I have full trust in you and Lance that it'll be an unbelievable post game show. That'll wrap up about 1:00 in the morning. So you got that going for you.
Oh wow, yeah, you're being nice. My roadmap had about 2:15 in the morning, so I like your idea.
First game, you're going at least till bar close. You're going at least till bar close. They better hear every word at the KK. Yeah, that's what I'm listening.
Well, John, I was hoping to be able to make last call at Wando's. Don't think that's going to happen, but we'll see. Because the Badgers and Broncos tomorrow night, 8:00 kickoff. Pregame starts at 6. Right here on your home for Wisconsin Badgers football, and this man going to be bringing it to you. Matt, we really appreciate it, man. We'll talk next week.
All right, sounds good. Take care.
See you, man. See you Saturday. That's Matt LePay, the Hall of Fame voice of the Wisconsin Badgers. I'm fired up for college football to start. I'm really looking forward to it. I did want to put that disclaimer out, though, just because you know how John quickly Twitter goes, LePay guys down here buying beer. Listen,
I know,
supporting the program.
Right, exactly.
We're supporting the program. We got to get an outside linebacker next year.
Mind your business.
Yeah, back up. Now you're not getting one. There was going to be anybody that was standing over here. You were going to get one. Now you're not.
But I am fired up, man. I'm telling you, I'm tuning into Colorado tonight. I'm getting
Cannot
ready
wait.
for the great disaster.
Yes.
I think it's going to happen this year. Wisconsin tomorrow night, and then the slew of games on Saturday. It's going to be spectacular.
Yeah, and we'll run through that gauntlet of games that we have this weekend. The one on Sunday in Las Vegas is fantastic as well. So we will rip through all of that. We'll get you ready for the entire slate of college football, and also tell you who is not ready to kick off the NFL season. Two studs in their respective places, and the management starting to get a little frustrated maybe with Jamar Chase and Brandon Ayuk. We'll settle that score next. John Kuhn, Billy Schmidt, Armin Sarian. It's 9 to noon on The Game.
John Kuhn here for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. And how do you say welcome when you have people come over to the house? Well, if you're not saying it with the new entry door from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, what are you waiting for? It's the first thing anybody sees when they come over, and you can make it memorable with Pella. You can also say it with color because the possibilities are endless thanks to Pella's custom colors. Pick nearly any color in the spectrum. You can also say it with class. Pella's premium doors stand out due to their distinguished craftsmanship, and you will love every detail because you will pick every detail. And finally, say it with a great deal. Get 0% interest for up to 3 years with no money down and equal payments. But you got to hurry. That offer ends August 31st. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. And please, when you go in there, let Gina Della know that John Kuhn sent you. Visit PellaWI.com today.
9 to noon on the game. Appreciate you being with all of us each and every day, but especially today, the kickoff of college football. 3 Big Ten teams will put the ball in the air today. Illinois, Minnesota. Minnesota game, actually decent little matchup if you're looking around for schools that you know of, not, like Western Carolina taking on NC State or North Carolina A&T against Wake Forest, New Hampshire. You're like, wait, New Hampshire? Yeah, University of New Hampshire. Heard it's glorious this time of year.
You're not fired up for Duquesne and Toledo?
Listen, throw the records out when you get to the Glass Bowl, all right?
You're not fired up to see if Lindenwood can cover 47.5 against Kansas?
No, I'm hoping Kansas stomps them because somebody on this radio program might have a future for Kansas to make the college football playoff. But
that is a nice game, though, that night. Yeah,
North Carolina, Minnesota, game on Fox. That will be going up against North Dakota State going up against Colorado. Right now, not the sports book that we like to go to and get our information because Potawatomi Sportsbook is just so far and away better than anything else that you're getting. Colorado Buffs against the spread last year as a favorite, 1-2-1. As an underdog, we're 6-2. As a favorite, more than 3 points last year, they were 0-2. They're 9.5-point favorites. Some places having it at 10 later on tonight. That's going to be a really, really good one that people are going to have their eye on. But I think people are going to have their eye on, John and Armin, college football in and of itself all year long because it's so new. Bob in Minneapolis just tweeted it or texted us in on the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line. I'm finally getting interested in college football. This gives schools like Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa a chance to win it. In the old system, these schools would have never won a title. Before the playoffs, it was a popularity contest. That's from Bob in Minneapolis. Win it, John, I would take as winning the national championship. It's going to be tough. Armin said it. You're going to play a ton of games. Getting in might be a different story.
Okay, so objective completed, right? Objective secured here for the NCAA and college football because now Bob is interested in college football.
Dialed in,
when he wasn't before. And maybe there are others with the same sentiment. But if you think it makes it easier for schools like Wisconsin, Minnesota, I think you're crazy. I think this makes it harder. I do. If you thought it was a popularity contest before, it's going to be the same popularity contest. They're just going to invite more pretty girls
to the party.
Yeah. That's all they're going to do. They're just going to invite more pretty girls. And what I mean by this is if you're Wisconsin, how are you getting into the college football playoff before? You had to be better than everybody in the Big Ten and win the Big Ten.
Big Ten, yep.
And then you got in and you had to win 2 games, right? If you win the Big Ten now, you're probably going to have to win 2 games. So it's no different. It's no different in that aspect. But if you think it's gotten easier because now you're going to get in that large bid, first of all, I still think they're going to pick the pretty girls. If Penn State and Wisconsin, Penn State's going to be 1 tick ahead of Wisconsin. It's just the way it works. It's going to be the popularity contest continued. If all resumes are created equal, it's still going to be a popularity contest. You think the SEC isn't going to have 3-4 teams?
Oh, they're going to get 3 or 4 in. Yeah, yes, no doubt about it.
It's going to be like that. It's still going to be the popularity contest, just on a bigger scale. And then if you are one of those teams that is a pretty girl one year and you get invited to the party, well, now you got to win 3 games. I don't think it makes it easier for these teams. I think it might make it harder, in fact.
I don't think it makes it harder. I do see there's many more pathways to get in. But that being said, just break it down. 6 spots are already spoken for out of the 12 because the highest group of 5 conference champion gets in. The top 5 conference champions get in. Top 4 of those would get a bye. And if you were winning the Big Ten before, you were getting in, right? I know there has been mathematics on it, and it's true. Wisconsin would have been in, I think, 3 times if this was instituted from when the 4-team playoff was in, because they lost the Big Ten championship game. You go to the Big Ten championship game, you're going to be in. You're going to be one of the top 2 teams in one of the top 2 conferences on a give and take year.
But let's be honest, though. A couple of those then were when they were playing in the West,
one of
which, or whatever.
Yeah, one of which. I mean, they were favored in one of which that they end up getting throttled 59-0 against Ohio State. They would have been in as they were the 4th team in all of college football that year. And then when they had a 21-point lead or up 21-3 against Ohio State, when Chris Orr goes down in the Big Ten championship game, they probably would have been an at-large bid there. I think there were 6 in the country. So like they've been there. They've been on the cusp. But John, it is going to be to win the whole thing. It's going to be vastly harder than it was a couple of years ago because you got to play so many more games.
I agree with that.
Completely agree.
And
I completely agree. And I don't think it makes it any easier. And I'd love to see that miracle run, right? And it'll feel like a miracle run. It'll feel like the Badgers, beating Kentucky to go to play Duke in the national championship game.
Sure.
That's what it will feel like if this ever occurs for Wisconsin. But to say going to 12 teams the way that they did, it made it easier for. No, I don't think it did.
Nothing is ever going to be made easier to win if you're talking about winning a national championship.
Yeah, winning it all. Again, getting in and winning it all are two very different
Winning
things.
it all will always be tough in any sport, but especially college sports, especially college football. It will be hard to win it all, no matter what the format is, anytime, anywhere. In this case, though, it'll be easier to make a playoff. Now, if that's an accomplishment for the program, which I think it is because it never existed before, but making a playoff is an accomplishment for the program. Just like in baseball, when they started expanding playoff teams, it was easier to make the playoffs and say, we made the playoffs this year. We made playoffs 3 in a row. We're putting up a banner for playoffs. That will be easier. If you want, if you want to have that accomplishment to make a playoff, in theory, it's easier to be one of those top 12 teams, right? But it's not going to be easier to win a national championship.
Right. It does not mean that it's going to be easier to get all the way home.
You could make this argument to make a playoff earlier. Let's say in a weaker Big Ten, and you play one great team in a Big Ten championship. If you're on the right side, you have to beat one great team to make a playoff, maybe, and then win a couple games to win it all. Now you get in. Now you have to win a lot of games to get to the playoff. And you got to beat a lot of great teams through that gauntlet.
It is also,
and there's no divisions. I think that's going to make it trickier.
Yeah, you've got to be really good to win a national title.
It can,
no matter
but
what.
I also think it can make it easier, John, when you have like a year like Iowa does, right? So let me run down Iowa's schedule for you.
I am interested in this.
They play at Ohio State. All right, L.
It's funny that you say when you have an easier schedule and then you lead off with at Ohio State.
But tell me,
it's just ironic.
Yeah, but I mean, find another really hard game in here that's totally a groundbreaker when you go to Minnesota, home against Washington, which is a completely different outfit this year. They lost everybody.
Yeah, that's not
their entire coaching staff.
That's a different team. Yeah.
At Michigan State, easy. Northwestern, Wisconsin, those are tough games, but neither of them are ranked at the moment. The only ranked game that they play is at Ohio State. You go 11-1 in the Big Ten, and your only losses at Ohio State.
Wait, that's their schedule? They don't have like USC. They don't have.
They don't play USC. They play UCLA.
They
don't play Penn State. They play at home against Nebraska. Is their final Big Ten game of the year?
It's a lot of 20-7 wins, or a lot of 16.
Right, Minnesota, Ohio State, Washington, Michigan State, Northwestern, Wisconsin, UCLA, Maryland, Nebraska. That's an easy slate where, John, you could very well walk into a 9-1 Big Ten record and be a very, very different team. Like, that's where the no divisions, I think, is going to be awesome to see it play out at the end of the year, where we could look and say, Ohio State, Oregon, right? They're 1-7 in all of college football. But Oregon does have one Big Ten loss. They're in the same way. And if that goes and they're playing the Big Ten championship game, that's going to be awesome to watch.
I see what you're saying, but now I also feel like there's a scenario here where you do have a schedule like Iowa, and Iowa does go 9-1, and they do play in a Big Ten championship game, and they do get throttled in a Big Ten championship game. And then all of a sudden you have an Iowa who played in the Big Ten championship game who has 2 losses who doesn't get in. I could see that happening. I could see it happening. And potentially one of the teams right below them that they lost, that they won a tiebreaker over, like a 9-1 Penn State or something like that, gets in instead of them.
Well, in the interest, I think the most interesting one, John, is going to be Notre Dame, because the way it's built in here, Notre Dame has a 2-loss season. It's going to be hard for them not to go.
What do they have? Do they have any standard that they have to have in order to get in? Do they have to be top 15 in the country?
Well, they'd have to be one of the top 12 team, or one of the highest ranked teams, not a conference champion. Which is so subjective.
Right, it is, of course. This is still going to be a decision by a committee.
But even with 2 losses, they might not be that.
They might not be. However, it is still a voting committee. right? I mean, it is still a college football playoff committee
Just like the NCAA tournament
that ends up picking the teams.
Yeah.
So, like, for Notre Dame, Jack Swarbrick is the retired AD.
Yeah,
that's his name.
Swarbrick, yeah.
He was one of the cats that built this model. Did them very nice favors. They can't be one of the top 4 seeds, right? So they can't be a bye
because they can't win a conference title.
However, if you're the number 5 seed, it might be the best spot in the whole deal.
You get the easiest first round matchup.
You get the group of 5 most likely conference champion. So say Boise State, all due respect to them and their families, but easy dub. Then you're potentially, you might have another game where you're favored going up against one of the lesser conference champions, like the 16th ranked team in the country who won
ACC or something like that.
ACC or Big 12, and you're playing them in a bowl game, then you're back into the semifinals. Like, it is very interesting to where certain spots might be better than other ones that you think of.
I think our friend Bob in Minneapolis needs an intervention. I think we need a nooner intervention for Bob, because now he's saying, I never said it was easier. I just said it gives them a chance.
Well, they've always had a chance, right?
So, but if you're I'm confused here, Bob. Bob, if you're saying it gives them a chance, that you're interested in college football now because it gives them a chance, aren't you saying it's easier?
Yeah, I mean, I would have thought from no chance to a chance, there would be an easier scale in that.
These are all nebulous terms. That's the problem. Everybody had a chance. Everybody had a chance, except for Central Florida. They never had a chance that year.
Yeah, they didn't.
Florida State last year.
Florida State never had a chance. So,
they did. If Jordan Travis doesn't snap his leg in 6
But
places.
I'll say this. In this case, you might be right that those 2 teams I mentioned would have been in a 12-team playoff, right? They would have gotten a lower level spot, and then you have a chance and all that.
Yeah, Central Florida would have been in. They would have been the highest ranked group of 5 conference champion. They would have been in.
Key is also, I think it'll keep fan interest if you lose some games. That's a big thing, because the number one thing we hear is season's over as soon as the Badgers lose a game. That's the number one thing we always hear, right?
I mean, we just said it, Nebraska, Iowa at the end of the year. NBC already has it for one of their games. There's a very good chance both of those teams have a shot at the playoff in that game.
Right.
Otherwise, that was a game last year that was buried on Black Friday that nobody really cared about, because even if they were, one of them was a 9-10 win team, your season was basically over.
Yeah.
So it does give a little bit more allure all year long. Does it give more of an opportunity? That is a question that we'll have to see in practice. And now we finally get to see it. Now, some people are saying, listen, I've already run through 7 of these 12-team playoffs. All right. College football 25 did allow you to get through the college football playoff and see how long it is, John. But it is a long-ass season for college football.
When you set the setting on beginner, I mean, you can make it through. That's not what's happening.
Yeah. Sorry, we're playing on All-American. Maybe not Heisman. It's 9 to noon with Kuhn, Billy, and Armin on the game. 9 to noon on the game. Hanging out with all of you on the NicolaLaw.com talking text line. That's where David and Mequon dropped into our college football conversation. When discussing Columbus, Ohio, and the Ohio State Buckeyes, maybe the best college football team money can buy, reportedly over $20 million spent on the roster. Caleb Downs might be one of the best college football players in the country. He left Alabama for Ohio State. So financial compensation, easy to spot when you look at Caleb Downs in the back end. But David and Mequon, John Armin said, garbage. Columbus, Ohio is not New York or LA market size. It's desire and will. Now, listen.
Did someone get Shay? Did Shay steal his phone?
Desire and will.
Shay wrapped
they
this
do like
there?
to say Ohio
Why'd you
guys
point
are
to the
different,
sky?
but interesting.
Why
Is Shay floating in the cloud?
No,
up
he's
there?
not. But he's out there somewhere. Yeah,
He's
okay.
not dead.
No, I know. So he's saying it's all desire, will, and
Yeah,
effort.
Shay and Ric Flair up in the cloud.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
all
apparently
right.
get her too, because everyone still thinks that one happened too. No, but listen, there is a beautiful, eloquent way that people wax poetically about Ohio football guys. As somebody that had has two AJ Hawk jerseys of the Green Bay Packers, I for one like some of it. However, John, yeah, that's a lot of cash. Also, it's one of the biggest schools in the country. Like their enrollment and the money coming into the school is massive. It's understandable why it's one of the biggest brands around the country. And oh, by the way, they have a bunch of people that spend a bunch of money on the university. It's not crazy to think that way.
It's not crazy to think that way, but it's also not crazy to think the way that Dave's thinking here on the Talking Text line. I understand. Listen, New York, LA, they're in those markets. They have separate TV deals. They have a whole plethora of different monies coming in that makes big market versus small market different for them, right? We're making that comparison. Ohio State, do they? Like what differentiates Ohio State from Wisconsin, and why is it not desire and will?
Well,
that's what I want to know, because it quite possibly could be. Armin, you told a story to me yesterday about Bud Selig and how he single-handedly kept the Milwaukee Brewers, or got the Milwaukee Brewers into Milwaukee, kept them here, and that was out of desire and will, was it not?
Right. I mean, it was gumption and efforts by one man basically to do it, to keep the dream alive, to incorporate the team, to basically have the group together and to keep pushing for teams to come here. So you're right.
So
I mean,
why does Ohio
effort.
State get more money than Wisconsin?
Well, why are the Packers more popular in a quote unquote smaller market than Jacksonville, or pick your city? Every city's bigger than Green Bay, but we have one of the biggest brands. It's success over time. It's recognizable. It's fan support. It's marketability. It's all those things, right? It's great performance.
10 to 15,000 kids more per year also helps too.
Rutgers is in the New York market. What does that do for them? The market thing is applicable in a lot of ways in sports, but it can also be overrated. Just because Columbus Ohio State's a bigger brand than just Columbus.
Might be more in college than anything else, because like I've never been to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I'm excited to go next year when the Badgers go there. Doesn't seem like a booming metropolitan area, right? Athens, Georgia is not Atlanta, right? But like those are some of the more revered and publicly funded spots. Knoxville, I mean, I know it's a beautiful area this time of year, but Neyland Stadium is one of the largest spots. It is different, I think, when you're talking universities, when just going to sheer market size. However, Ohio State does have central location. Columbus is a little bit bigger of a metropolitan area. Like it is a good spot for the school to be in for the amount of money that they come into. But I think, John, a lot of it sheerly size of the university. Like, I mean, it's one of the,
you think it
has something to do with it, the amount of money they've had for that long.
Okay. And I can follow your breadcrumbs here saying 15,000 more students a year, undergrad leads to more money. I can follow your breadcrumbs there because you have more alumni.
Yep.
And Wisconsin is growing though, as to where it was like 10 years ago as well.
But I am curious, man, like how does, other than just sheer pride, determination, and will for your program, other than that, how do they raise so much more money than Wisconsin?
That is,
well, I'd say fans and alumni,
and they've also won, right?
I'm not saying there aren't reasonable,
it's not
excuses as to why this is the case. I mean, are there more doctors and lawyers that come out of Ohio State than Wisconsin? Are there just, people that love football more out of Ohio State than Wisconsin? Like, what is it? Why can they raise so much more money? Why can they do it? Because Wisconsin's had good years, and could they not capitalize off those years? Or is it just purely people are more fanatical about it?
Well, there's a lot of it is when you win at that level, people's pocketbooks open up a little bit differently, right? Like, I mean, it is 1000% a part of it. Also, when you win, more money comes into the university from every other avenue to the athletic department. But the Badgers are making some strides. There's plenty of things that you can look at. Matt talks about the indoor facility. That's something that was negatively recruited against the Badgers for a long time. Mm-hmm. So as that changes, I do believe the eyeballs will come with it, but you got to win, right? Like, you got to win for people to continually be backing financially. And that is what it comes down to with the collective.
So I'm just going to throw out a question here. The Badgers go to the Big Ten championship game this year, win or lose, make it to the playoffs. They have a year like that. Is all of a sudden their money that they get for NIL, is it going to double?
I think that's over time. No, I think that's an overtime.
I think that is a longer process, right? I don't think that's. It's almost like.
I think you see a spike, John, but I don't think that it's like, oh my God, now they're one of the top 5 funded teams through NIL and monetary value that way.
Just because if you don't ever have that one double up year, how do you ever do it consistently?
Yep, you have to have it. You have to have it, but I don't think it is that instant. Do you?
No, I don't.
Right. Okay.
Trust the process.
Right.
Honestly, I just think people, and this is not a shot, I think the number of people care more about Ohio State.
I do, and I think that's the stuff that changes with time, but it takes a long time. It's just like, when Marquette first made the Final Four, when the Badgers did, there was some myopic expectation that we're going to start getting 5 stars all of a sudden. It doesn't work like that. It's a long process, so.
Yeah, no doubt about it. 414-799-1973. Got some talk and text line messages to get to. Some people on hold for this one as well. We'll get to it in hour 3, which is always our best one of the day. It comes up next. It's 9 to noon on The Game.
That's Boutain.
Now we might need Young Gravy to go like double, triple platinum. And then maybe he could start donating to the Wisconsin Badgers NIL Collective, the Varsity Collective, as a Badger alum.
We're talking about needing rich alums. I mean, Young Gravy.
Does he like football?
Yeah, I don't know, but he's
I don't know how he
alum.
doesn't.
He has to.
He's got to, right?
With a banger like that, he's got to. Oh, well, B in Burlington says
and shooting shots with Lisa Ann. Sorry to cut you off on that. But I mean, when he was shooting shots with Lisa Ann, she's a fantasy football girl now. So like, he's definitely got to be a football fan. At that point.
Listen, if you're taking no shots, you don't care about diminishing returns. You're just shooting. So clearly, he can take a couple shots for the football program. But B in Burlington says on here, Billy, maybe you know this. I am not familiar with CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, but he said that in November of 2018, 14 CEOs of Fortune 500 companies attended UW-Madison, the most of any university in the nation. So maybe, maybe it's just this. Maybe it's not what the alumni have done since then in their, reasonable funds that they could throw away to a collective. Maybe it's just they're too nerdy. Maybe it's they're too nerdy.
John, that's 1,000% it, right? Like, I mean, like you do have to then realize that there is a part of it. And I'm not saying that people are nerdy that go to the University of Wisconsin.
You football guys. You know what I mean?
Well, no, but I'm just saying if you are, Armin, you have to feel like your disposable income that you have then used your entire life's work to become a Fortune 500 CEO, that I am going to donate it to the Varsity Collective so we can get an outside linebacker.
I anticipate those guys that are wearing overalls with no shirts underneath it to Alabama games down there. I have a feeling they're giving something.
Yeah, whatever they got. Whatever they got.
Something. What are these Fortune 500 nerds doing?
Well, think about it. I mean, how many Ivy League grads those guys are giving to like startup investing, angel investing? Like those are the guys that really. I mean, if you want to talk about what alumni base has the most money,
well,
probably Harvard and all these other schools.
Yeah, and crazy, they're not giving it to football; they're giving it to the engineering department, and that is one part of the University of Wisconsin that. It is a factor in this whole thing as to where you decide for your funds to go to. Schooling and university athletics are two different things. Before we get to some phone calls here, let me just bring you to a couple of stats here because I think that they are pertinent. We talked about the enrollment part as to what's the difference. Is it just desire and will? Because David and Mequon said it's desire and will, the difference between Columbus and Madison, Ohio State and Wisconsin. Desire for their fans and the will to spend their money on their team. Currently employed by the athletic department at the University of Wisconsin. There are, as I had it here real quickly, academic staff, 2,200 people. At Ohio State, academic staff, 7,300. The total size of the university, let's just go in Anchorage. I'm just saying like the size of the university does matter in the two different cities.
Oh, size does matter.
It does, yeah, John. That's a lie they've been telling us. They've been telling us for a long time. That's a lie.
Always matters.
John, 1,665 acres at Ohio State, 938 acres of campus at the University of Wisconsin.
Limited by the isthmus.
Right.
Once again,
there's a limitation here. We need size. We need more size.
It's isthmus. Isthmus. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you keep trying to say it.
I guess I blew it too. All right, we got some calls. All right.
Armin blew the isthmus. Mark the tape.
Isthmus.
Oh, my God. 11:05. All right, let's go to Ryan in Burlington. He's up on 9 to noon. Ryan, what do you got on these differences for us, man?
Hey, two things. First and foremost, the academic portion. I know it was a few years ago. I can't remember his name, but there was a 4 or 5-star lineman recruit that went to Michigan State because he didn't take 2 years of a
Craig
foreign
Evans
language coming out of high school.
Yeah.
And he wasn't going to take a 2-year foreign language. And again, that gets you the 3 stars, the 2 stars. It isn't going to get you the 4 or 5 stars. Some of those guys, as I'm sure Kuhn can say, they probably can't balance their checkbook, but we don't care. We just want them to play football. And those boosters who have the money, they're not being boosters for a library. They're being boosters for the sports team. If they have a chance to win a title, they're going to give more money. I went to a local college, Carthage. Mizuno Sporting Goods, the owner went to Carthage. They tried to build a stadium when I was there, build a complex. The school asked them to build a library. Guess who didn't get a library or a complex at the time? Because Mizuno's into sports, not libraries. So So again, if you take away the academics and the standards for the sports kids to go there, you'll get better talent. You get better talent that people will pay the money because they want titles. They don't want to win a Big Ten title running the ball 80 times a game. They want to see the Ohio State type football with it's wide receiver now. Every guy's a first round pick. That's what they want to pay.
Well, hold on, Ryan. You're saying it's style of play though now, and not academics. Is it both? Or are you saying?
No, I'm saying it is so. Like Fickell, I think that's a great move to try. Like they went away from the old Barry Alvarez. We're just going to run the ball, win Big Ten titles. We'll never have a chance to win a title, but it has to couple with 4- and 5-star guys. If it's like compounding interest, when you get a 5-star guy that goes to Michigan State because he doesn't want to take Spanish, that's maybe 2 years of him. Well, there's another kid that's a 5-star that's gone.
Yeah.
So, if you keep stacking those guys up, you lose out on those years where you could have dominant teams. Instead, you have to wait for a guy from Central Michigan who was a tight end to come here to be an all-world tackle and get a little lucky. We're stuck in that. We have those moments every 10 years. But Ohio State, they have the money. They know they're getting 5-star recruits. They don't care about the
libraries.
Academics. They're not out there saying these are student athletes.
Appreciate the call, Ryan.
Tough day for foreign languages.
Yeah,
from him
getting bodied right there, and also a poor Sun Prairie kid, who also never played at Michigan State. So like there are statements, and if we are going to start talking and go to the individual case by case basis, not all those cases work out, John, right? Like, I mean, I do understand, and you take more swings at the 4- and 5-star guys and you get more in. I'm not saying the likelihood of them being better college football players is not high, right? The likelihood of guys being 4- and 5-star players in high school and them being better college players than 3-star kids. Yeah, that's a fact. I understand that part of it. However, it only gets you so far once you get into the club. I do have a problem when we just dismiss we just want to run the ball and win Big Ten championships. That sounds pretty damn good, right? Like, I mean, I understand that there is we want to be this, that, and the third. Also, before Barry Alvarez, as he mentioned, that we're going to get away from that style of just, run the ball and win Big Ten championships. I've seen the video a bunch of different times where Barry says, get your season tickets because you might not be able to any longer. You know why? Because there were like 25,000 people going before Barry Alvarez came. Like, if you think this is as bad as it could get we're only going to go to a bowl game and we're only going to be like in the middle of the tier. Well, at least you're not winning 3 games like you were 30 years ago.
Right.
It does take time to get to the next level, right? To the full tier above. Man, tier 2 is pretty good, right? Like, I know that many people would be very, very upset with being right here. This is a good spot to be able to have those chances to get up.
Yeah, I'm torn on it because I absolutely agree with what you're saying. But there is that little itch in the back of this conversation that says,
yeah,
but when and why?
And that's
how
okay.
Do you make the next jump? Or do we even want to make the next jump? Or maybe, I mean, we talk about bites of the apple all the time with the Brewers and the Packers. Or are we happy with just giving ourselves a shooting chance? Are we putting a shot in the air every year and just saying, okay, we're happy because we get this shot up. We don't get rejected, from behind the arc, that we're actually taking a shot here. Maybe it's exactly the way that they want this process to be done in Wisconsin. Maybe this is exactly what they want. Maybe they do want, the academic standards to be higher, because I always wondered the academic standard comment, because I thought to myself, well, I know they have this little sticker that they can put on every application that says athlete, and that thing just passes and goes right through. Right. I know they do that at universities. Why would Wisconsin not just say to half a dozen to a dozen guys every year, okay, this one doesn't, but we need this one. This one. But what would that hurt? Would that hurt averages, GPA averages? And then what does that hurt? Does that hurt other funding elsewhere?
Principles.
I mean, give me the, and I'm not educated enough on this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. John, I'm right there with you, because the foreign language requirement is something that I became privy to understanding once I was into high school age, right? Like, I started to know, like, oh, there actually are different requirements. However, we can't just walk in and say, hey, man, let's get this thing done. I understand
some standards of what
let's figure this out. Okay. But if you are going to be strictly to your standards, I understand it. Like, I do get it. It definitely maybe prohibits you from a certain position and being able to grab one or two. Guys, let's go to Turd Ferguson up on the NicolaLaw.com talking text line. Turd, what do you got on this, man?
Okay, elevator speech at first. Everybody's right. Now, what does that mean? First of all, I have experience in multiple different facets that touch this. I work for a company that has a huge presence in Columbus. Spent much time down there over the years. That is the biggest banking center in the Midwest, perhaps as big as any in the United States. Most of the alumni that come out of Ohio State in that field stay, and they are fiercely loyal alumni. Secondarily, the school administration on the academic side understands the value of athletics as their main marketing tool to bring in donors from all different areas to donate to all different things. How does that look in real life? I was a large donor to UWM during the Pearl era and the Jeter era that followed, and I pressed very hard for UWM to capitalize on the success of the Sweet 16s that they had gone into and push money and into the athletic department as a form of marketing. The school went an entirely different route. The chancellor was not behind it. They went and hired an athletic director that was more than happy to be a low-level mid-major at best. And now you see where they are. And henceforth, I don't donate anymore. Why would I give money to an institution that's just happy with succeeding at the smallest level? Now, one other thing is that the admission standards are in fact an issue, and I'll explain how that works. If you have a student that is a 5-star, and it's questionable whether or not they'll meet your academic standards at Madison, there is not an NIL collective in the world that is going to offer them and sign them to a contract to induce them to enroll and commit, because there's no guarantee that athlete can make it in, even if they're 100% behind wanting to play at UW. They don't have that issue at Ohio State. So you have mega donors at Wisconsin. We had one mega donor ready to go at UWM. Was all set to write big checks.
Mm-hmm.
The athletic department was so that they never took advantage of it. Oddly enough, UW took advantage of that, and the guy's name is now on a basketball court.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I appreciate the call, Turd, and there's a lot there, John. A couple pieces of it. I do think, to Turd's point, you need the athletic director and the chancellors all to be in the alignment.
Is it just me?
I hope that's the right way. It's hard for me to address it seriously.
Listen, I did not expect Turd to sound like that.
Yeah.
You thought Turd Ferguson,
you hear the name Turd Ferguson?
I'm involved in banking,
and the fact that Billy it continually references him as Turd actually makes me giggle every time.
Should I make him use a real name next time?
No. I listen.
Okay.
Listen, I'm fine
well,
with that.
I'm just.
Nooner Turd can be Turd every day. I don't care. That is fantastic. That was a great detailed call.
It was really, really good.
That's why I was trying to pay more detailed than I thought a turd could be. But
yes,
that turd did not stink. That turd smelled great. It sounded great. And I understand. And I understand what he means by it's all of the above. So yes, he answered my question. Wisconsin likes it the way that it is, because if they didn't, then they would change some of their academic standards and they would make it so that some of these big time investors could come in and donate to the program the way that he said.
But the reality is everyone's still competing. And Brian in Milwaukee makes a great point on the text line. Other programs are trying to do the same thing. Even if you have more money, even if you reduce academic standards, everyone's trying to get the same piece of the pie or a great recruit or whatever you have. It doesn't just make it easier that there's an infinite number. Everyone's trying to do the same thing. And it's a fixed sum of who can actually succeed.
I do like Bill in Milwaukee. I'm okay with where the Badgers are right now. I definitely want to see improvement, but I remember the Billy Merrick years and how horrific they were before Barry came. Go Bucky, right? Like I do think there's part of that where it's like, hey man, go win, go have some fun, right? Like, and I'm not going to be totally heartbroken if it's not right, wrong, or indifferent.
And believe me, there is something more of a satisfaction feeling when you do it your way and it's different than others.
Yeah.
Is it logical? Is it smart? Is it cool to go into a fight with one glove when the other guy has one on each hand? No. With one hand tied behind your back?
Yeah.
No. But if you do win, it feels sweeter. And if you have a certain sense of pride or a certain sense of, hey, bragging rights about how you do it, then great. I mean, it is fun when Wisconsin is winning football games and doing it their way, and you get matched up against a big dog and you do, quote unquote, upset them.
Yeah, and that is a good point, John, because I do think many more Badger fans took those final 4 years and enjoyed them maybe more to the nth degree because they were doing it their way, right? Because they were doing it with Bo, because they were able to do it in the swing. Now,
just have more pride and more toughness and more of those virtuous
tell yourself
intangibles.
that,
right, exactly.
This is how are you doing right now? He's hating this conversation.
Yeah,
why?
He does because Marquette doesn't even have a football program, and he's like, you want me to show you pretentious nerds? Come on down here to where our sweaters are.
Well, I'm not bringing up Marquette. I don't know where this comes from, but you want me to say, here's an example. Yesterday they announced they were 8th in the nation in attendance, Marquette, average attendance. Now, how
much do you contribute?
How can a school that has 8,000 undergraduate enrollment, relatively small private school, have the 8th highest attendance? It's not by merit. It's by winning and by loyalty and all the fan base and the toughness. So what do you want to say? The reason that Marquette,
I want you to say your truth.
Marquette,
and you're sitting back there behind sarcastic comments. Just say what's on your mind.
It's not sarcastic. I'm just saying that's what a lot of people will say. Like, there is those people that want to believe in the virtues.
Sure.
I meant it as Ohio State, not UW. It wasn't a UW thing. It was more of the Ohio State.
Oh, more than Ohio State.
We're still tougher.
Yeah, that's what it was.
It's not about just money. It's because we care more and we have a harder fan base and all that stuff.
Yeah, money is a part of it. 2023 endowment at Ohio State. Again, this is Wikipedia, so I'm not putting it on my bibliography because I don't want to get downgraded for it, John. They have the endowment at $7.4 billion.
Oh, that's
for
nice.
Ohio State.
That's nice. That's big, right? Compared to some other ones.
For Wisconsin in 2021, the endowment was $4 billion.
You know what? I don't think Marquette's endowment's even $500 million. So there you go. And you want to talk about the richest institutions?
All right.
All
right. So we're gonna do this now. We're doing this now.
Stat of the day. You know
brought to you by Natty Oaks and
yeah. You know what Harvard's endowment is? Harvard University is the richest school in the richest institution in the world, not besides the Catholic Church, I believe. $49 billion. So you want to talk about NIL? I'm sure they could do it if they wanted to. They could just cut a quick check and say, we got a $49 billion endowment. All right. So there you go. $49 billion. There's your stat of the day.
$916
So it's not just
million
about money. It's not just about money. The money helps though, and they do have a bigger endowment because they have a bigger alumni base and I guess all the bankers.
And I don't know, 4 times the amount of kids.
You say endowment one more time, I might log off because I'm dying. We've had a
you can't do it.
Endowment over and over and over.
Armin,
can we get the last call?
Marquette's endowment is not that high. Well, how do we win games?
Hey, Molly, can you let us do our job and can we get the last call before the Coons can't miss?
Here we
have
go.
The name.
Matt New Berlin.
Hey, Matt, how you doing, man? What do you got on this?
I'm doing good. One of the things, too, about comparing the Badgers to Ohio State, people don't think about it very much, but Ohio State's population is way bigger than Wisconsin's.
You mean as a
our
state?
Major city is Milwaukee.
Right, as a state.
Then there's Madison and Green Bay, but they've got Cleveland and Cincinnati, Youngstown. I mean, they've got a lot of people that they can draw money from that are connected or just from just state pride alone that have money and send money to Ohio State. That we just don't have the population for it. That's one other comparison. We just don't have the people.
Yeah, Matt, that's a good point, and appreciate the call because it is true, right? I mean, having 2 major cities that are both checks notes larger than Milwaukee, Cincinnati, and Cleveland.
And Columbus is pretty
and Columbus
sizable.
is no slouch either. They're in the size of the area, and also they have a professional team when you're talking about the Columbus Blue Jackets. So it is a national professional market. 3 of those cities is tough, right? It is different to compare. However, then we have Adam on the talking text line, John, who's like, yeah, Tuscaloosa is basically Oshkosh. So like you can do it in any city you want. You just need to have the full love and trust and believe in that university. Now it's easy to sell. Easy to sell that Alabama brand after what Nick Saban's done.
It's the brand.
Probably easy to sell.
What's the population in Green Bay? We know the Packers are much more than just the population of Green Bay.
Yeah.
It's the brand, but he's right. 11.7 million people in Ohio, 5.8 in Wisconsin, but it's the brand
All
as
right,
well.
so I'm good. So now we have some answers. So now we don't have to count dollars and cents anymore when it comes to Ohio State and Wisconsin. We definitely don't need to know, what kind of nil money these players are getting, Heller, and we can just move on about our day and just play football.
Mike's going to still need that answer. Mike's going to still need to pocket watch that, but he pocket watches you through this investment every week.
Oh, I sure can't miss right now. Zverev yesterday under 30.5, got that by a fingernail. 30 total games in that, a 7-6 second game. It didn't help. That one was a little scary, the second set, Armin. 7-6 in games. Still managed with under 30.5. Got myself there. 3 in a row. That's already a winning week. And now we have won 4. Okay, so 3 wins in a row. And going back to Friday, I think it's 4 in a row, 4 wins in a row, 4 weeks in a row of a winning week.
Damn.
So I think we can get rid of that moniker of Coons can't miss is now can miss. No, it's still can't miss. And we're going to do it again. But before I do that, let me remind you, Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook is the premier place to go down and take in some of the best action, and not just action on the screen, but action at the kiosks. Over 70 different kiosks on the second and third level, just off the skywalk. You don't even have to go to the sports book. You can walk in there, valet your car, or just leave the keys in it, because you're in and out in 5 seconds. Armin does it all the time, and you can do it too. But I suggest making your way down to the sports book. It's the biggest one outside of Vegas. Don't take my word for it. Go check them out today. Simple. I'm going to have a great time with this one. I already have a winning week. I don't even need to sweat this one, but I'm going to anyways. North Dakota State +10. I love this. This is going to go one of two ways. This thing is either going to be covered by midway through the third quarter, or this thing's going to be toit. Toit. And I'm hoping for the toitness, because I want to see how Dion answers the questions after this one, because I think North Dakota State, as you said, Billy, you're one of these BCS schools. You don't want to be going into it with a Dakota on your schedule. North Dakota State here tonight, +10 at Colorado.
And if you want, and you always can do it, don't you know you got to buy the half point? So you
got to buy the half point.
If you want to buy it, you can.
Do you want to make it a true? You want to make it a true can't miss and buy a half a point? What does that change the odds on?
Let me just check it up here, because I wasn't gonna do it, because don't you know you're supposed to always buy the half point?
Yeah, you just always buy the half point. You just don't even think about it anymore. You're just not even fathoming it.
All right,
Never
there we go. It takes it from -116 to -130. Let's buy the half a point. Let's go.
Fine.
Let's do it. Armin tells you what to do. You do it. He's the producer. He does his job. Now I'm doing mine. I'm taking the advice. Buying the half a point. Go down to Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook, buy that half a point, get North Dakota State at +10.5, sit there and watch the damn game and enjoy yourself a victory, because you cannot miss.
I love that. That is so good. Armin, you feel better now?
Absolutely, because you can always buy the half point. Don't you know that?
You want this in the FCS, so that's Division I AA, how it used to be described, John Kuhn. The playoff record for the North Dakota State Bison, 47-5.
Not bad.
That's not bad. Yeah, that doesn't suck. Now, interesting spot.
What's their no money? That's the question.
Okay, now that might be a fun question, because
what about population? What about acreage? What about endowment?
Let me get all of this.
779,000 is a North Dakota population. Now,
okay.
Now, North Dakota State Bison football. You're talking about the university endowment? Let's see what they got here. Let's see
the Fargo Dome. I know you're a big fan of the Fargo Dome, John. 18,700 people fit in the Fargo Dome. Their facilities are pretty sweet. I will say this: out of like Penn State, we talk about this with Sean Clifford, and you know it from being PA. You play at Penn State, you're a professional athlete. You play at North Dakota State in Fargo, North Dakota, you're a professional athlete. Like, you are as close to a pro athlete as you can get in that spot, because the Hy-Vees in North Dakota, Fargo Hy-Vees going crazy for Bison football players.
$457 million endowment for North Dakota State University of Agriculture. And the full name is, by the way, the North Dakota State University of Agriculture and Applied Sciences.
And Applied Sciences.
That's the formula. There's money. There's money in whatever they do up there, farming and
Florida State or NDSU is also going into a new way of playing ball this year. And maybe not a complete different style, but Matt Entz had been the head coach there since 2018. He leaves to go be a defensive assistant with USC, not defensive coordinator. Defensive assistant. So we do see where they're paying coaches and the difference in where that goes from head coach at one of the most prestigious 1AA schools, FCS level, to maybe a defensive assistant at USC, maybe like 4 times what I'm doing here, and I don't have to answer all the questions. Done. I'll see you in LA, and I'll really, really enjoy Southern California. So that was Matt Entz' first game for the new head coach there with the North Dakota State Bison. Going to be awesome to watch tonight as the kickoff of college football when the Buffaloes can't cover the 10 and we win on a Coons can't miss. We're back, but before we hand it off to Mike Heller, well before that, we cannot get out of here before we bring you what John Lynch has to say about Brandon Aiyuk. Pointed and brief, but curt. Next on 9 to Noon. 9 to noon on the game. So a couple of fascinating things happening throughout the break. This one just came across. Money is wild. Money is wild. The NBA, John Kuhn and Armin Sari and Adrian Wojnarowski. Golden State Warriors star Stephen Curry has agreed to a 1-year, $62.6 million extension. That'll keep him under contract through 26-27. His agent, Jeff Austin, tells ESPN. Curry is now guaranteed $178 million over the next 3 years of his Warriors deal, an extension signed today. So Steph Curry signed through the 26-27 season. He becomes potentially a traveling show in the 26-27 season.
That's a good point. Yeah.
In which me as an NBA fan, I would sign up to watch, because I do still think Steph Curry is a show that when he comes to your city, it's worth going and seeing. But they're paying $62 million when he's going to be like 38, 39 years old. You want to talk about thank you money? That is thank you money for Steph Curry, what he did to the Golden State Warriors.
That's thank you money. And quite frankly, what could he be in 3 years? I mean, we're watching LeBron be unbelievable at 40 years old. We
very true.
Know the athletic ceiling for LeBron much higher. So, dropping off there is a different type of ball game. Steph's incredibly athletic, but he's smaller. And if he starts to lose one step, right, is it going to look anything like what it looked like now or 3 years ago? And what do you think Clay thinks when he hears that? Oh, he's going to be hot.
I think he knows that Steph's better.
No, it's not that, Armin. It's not that. It's Draymond got paid. Clay waited a whole year to get paid. No, we're not paying you. This is thank you money to Steph Curry. Thank you, Steph. Yeah. Clay, you can leave. Draymond, we paid.
This is not.
Oh my gosh.
This is not just. But this is not just like.
I see it the same way as John, though.
Okay.
I mean, I'll let you respond here quickly, but I do want to double and second that statement. Like, if I'm Klay Thompson, I'm looking like, hold on,
where's my thank you money?
I couldn't get $20 million on a thank you.
$20 million, thank you. You're giving him 61.
Wow.
I understand that, and I understand Klay might be salty about it, but he's more probably salty and sad about the way his career's going. That's just the way it is.
I get that. Yeah, I get that.
I don't think anyone reasonable can sit there and say Steph isn't worth it. Listen, I'd agree with you guys more about the thank you money if I didn't just see Steph dominate the world and win the Olympics with the most incredible shot making. He's still got it
in 2 games.
But his
his
game isn't all based on athleticism. It's based on incredible shot making. I don't see any reason to think he can still be effective in that regard.
Because how do you get the shots off? That's my only point.
I know, but
I'm not saying Steph isn't absolutely incredibly athletic. I am saying the contrary. I am saying he is unbelievably athletic. But if LeBron to me looks like he lost about 15 to 20% of what he did in his prime, right? But that doesn't mean he's still, because his ceiling is so high, he lost 20%. He's still averaging
one of the top
doubles,
30 players in the game.
Yeah, it's still unbelievable. Steph, the thing is, if Steph loses, one step, can he might still be able to make every shot in horse, right? McDonald's commercial from anywhere in the stadium.
Right.
But if he can't get that shot off, that's the difference.
Yeah, but what did Chris Paul make as a 4-year-old point guard? I don't think extending him for 1 year is that crazy of an idea at that price, because I think he can still do it. And if he does drop off,
it's just a draw-dropping number.
It is a draw-dropping number for 1 year, no doubt about it. But when you think about what a lucrative 1 year deal would be, it would be, when you start thinking about it, it's kind of like, yeah, that makes sense market-wise.
It makes sense to pay him now versus next year or the following year 100%. So we're keying up for a 1 year farewell tour to Steph Curry in 3 years.
Jordan was locked in.
That's what we're assuming.
Jordan was locked into his long-term deal with the Bulls for so long until his last 2 years, when he was really able to make his own make a new deal. And I remember him getting $30 million for those years. And it was like crazy that he got $30 million. And in a lot of ways, that might still be a wilder number back in 1997 than it would be Steph getting 60 for 1 year.
Completely is.
Yeah. So in a way,
it's still, to think that the market is only going up 100%. No, that's not true. Jordan's number back then is still more jaw-dropping than this one, but it was Jordan.
Yeah. And then Curry's not Jordan, but Curry's maybe one of the biggest stars in the league still. He's one of the best players of all time. And I could see his skills not eroding that quickly.
No, and listen, I do think that he's still going to be productive. That's why I started it by saying it's again still. I mean this in the most polite way possible. It's a traveling road show that I would go see.
Right.
Like he still is. I still believe worth the price of admission. I'm interested to see if he is in 3 years. In 3 years, when that is the contract for Steph Curry, the Milwaukee Bucks will just be getting out of the Damian Lillard contract, which is $58 million for that year. So a little different. However, what's $5 million amongst friends? At the end of the day, what's $5 million amongst friends?
That's just a small chunk of the endowment of somebody. You know
well,
what I mean?
Now, and we do have people asking us, like, we can't get the 3 Watt brothers, Melvin Gordon, Russell Wilson, and a bunch of other former Badgers to just donate a couple $1,000,000 a piece to the collective, and then we're spending the same amount. I don't know what Dame's doing to the Weber State Collective, but I assume they're hitting him up for every single dollar. And John, I don't think they're spending a bunch of it.
It's not it's not professional or ex-professional athletes. It's numbers, it's volume, and it's the alumni and the fans. That's what it is. And their passion for the athletic department to be able to give money to them. And this is what I meant when I brought that one text up. It's about the hunger and desire of the athletic department to go out and put your hands out and say, hey, we need this.
And I'm fascinated to see, and Matt LePay and I have talked about this, on and off the air, and I'm interested because of the revenue sharing that he brought up. John, I do think those wells dry up at some point when every single year you're walking up to the same guy saying,
That's
hey,
the
man,
thing.
Can we get an extra $2 million? You really like that pass rusher that we got last year? You're gonna love this tight end.
It's not just. It's not
Let
just.
us tell you.
Yeah, it's not just 1 year of it. That's the point.
The year in year out ask is going to be interesting.
If you could do it 1 year, one time maybe, but you have to do it year in and year out. How are you going to do that? And I'm sure Melvin Gordon's like, no, you could have paid me that money. What do you mean I'm going to give you money?
But can I put one last stance on this? And this is when we talk about, and this whole thing got brought up because Ohio State has the best. This is a term now. The best team money can buy.
Yeah.
With $20 million that has been thrown out there. That is the benchmark now. That money's NIL money. It's not just money given and said bye to and written on a tax deduction for a year's taxes. That money is also to have those kids that are getting the money come down and do an appearance or get you some sort of commercial or something like that. So it's actually going to something as well.
It's a really good point of it as well. Chad in the OC said, Billy, I work third shift, and this is what I do after work. This is my third season. This is a grind. And yes, I'm Wisconsin. Sends me a picture of his college football playoff that he's got on College Football 25. He's got Wisconsin in the semifinals.
I love that.
Let's
go.
Come on. Got him going from the 5 seed as well. So they get that home game against the group of 5 conference champion, which was Troy in his year that he was able to do that. And then Van in Milwaukee got one for Armin. Blake Perkins. Plus 950 over at Potawatomi Sportsbook to a home run tonight.
All right. What is it for 2 homers? Come on. If you want to put them on the table, put them on the table. All right.
Are you putting your Caleb Williams on the table?
Is that what you're saying? Put your endowment on the table, Armin?
There's not much to put on the table.
I think he put that Caleb Williams gift on the table. Ooh, that's a yice.
I mean, yeah. Blake Perkins. Yeah.
You'd hang that from your rearview mirror, wouldn't you, Armin?
If I from the tailpipe.
You can look it up. If I got the Caleb Williams, if he gave me a pendant and it had encrusted jewels or diamonds, I'm taking it.
Well, they were 2 jewels.
I'll wear it. What's that?
No, you're not going to wear it.
Those are jewels.
You're going to pawn it.
You can't tell me you're wearing that.
No, I'd probably sell it. You're right. Why not? You might look like, hey, I got
Why was it so veiny? That's my question. Like, that's where I'm like, what are we doing here with that jewelry designer?
They were some old man nuggets that they designed.
Heart. Heart. That's what it was. Heart was the veins and the bloodlines. Yeah, sure. Caleb, you keep telling yourself that on that gift.
Perkins plus 12,500 to hit 2 homers tonight. $5 bet would win you 625.
Well, he nearly went yard 2 nights in a row. So, I mean, just might be able to. Maybe like stepping on something. 414-799-1973. It's 9 to noon. Stay wide on the game. We'll round third, head for home right after this.
saying, you know,
John Lynch, general manager of the San Francisco 49ers. This is 9 to noon on the game. And that is the statement to Brandon Ayuk as he walked off the field yesterday with a backpack on during practice. There was maybe a thought that he was going to be on the field. I do wonder, and we're going to get into so much more of this because coming up tomorrow, because I think it's just so fascinating with the two guys they have in San Francisco. Ja'Marr Chase in Cincinnati. We closed the CeeDee Lamb door. However, there's got to be a resolution here sooner rather than later. And when you hear John Lynch say that about Brandon Ayuk, who's been in the building, again, this is him and Chase, different from Trent Williams, who I believe, after looking today, he's accrued, I believe, $4 million in fines, accrued $4 million in fines with missing days, holding completely out of training camp. The NFL is really starting to sleep in the bed they made with these hold-ins because they don't have a ton of leverage, right? Like John Lynch can say, hey man, you got to play at some point. Hey man, we got to play at some point. But if you've allowed him to be in the building without practicing during training camp and this hold-in is still a thing, these teams are, I think, they lost some of their negotiating power with being able to completely fine guys and those not being able to be waived.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how hold-ins work in terms of at what point does it become conduct detrimental to the team, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's what I think we're going to learn.
Hold-in used to be a guy would show up and say, I got hamstring injury. It's just sore. It hurts. You can't make me play. My hamstring is sitting here. So, go ahead and cut me if you want, put me on waivers and I'll, do something with another team, something to that nature. And once you get vet status, which Trent Williams has, they don't even, you don't even go on waivers until the end of the season. So that's a whole different ball game there. And Trent Williams, see the dangerous part for the 49ers is Trent Williams has done this before.
Oh yeah.
He has sat out and missed out on money just to leave a place.
Yep.
Right. He's been there, done that. He's put that in his track record. And now it's not just him, it's Brandon Ayuk. And don't think they haven't talked about, how they can try and exercise their leverage or their power as a player. And Brandon Ayuk is probably saying, well, Trent Williams is going to do it. I'm going to do it too.
Yeah. And like Trent Williams sat out all of 2019. Like that is just
that's wild.
It's part of it. And Ja'Marr Chase sat out his entire final year at LSU. So like you do have two dudes that have set precedent that I'm a football player. I'm identifying. I don't need to be playing football right now. So like that is the difference in how much money has been made, vastly different. Right. Ja'Marr Chase has made money, but I think his deal is like $4 million this year. Trent Williams, already one of the highest paid guys, but he's like, yeah, yesterday's price, not today's price. I'm not playing around. You're going to have to bring a full Brinks truck. I'm going to count it, John. And then I'll let you know if I'm going to show up to practice, but I'm going to need to count this money. I think Trent Williams is saying before you all see me in the building. Let's make sure all this actually clears.
None of that though is as weird as Ja'Marr Chase and his, he's supposed to practice tomorrow. We're making progress.
Did I say that?
He doesn't practice. What? Oh, you didn't?
Did I say that? Did I say he was supposed to practice?
Well, as Colin Tosa points out, sometimes you say things that you wish you didn't.
Did I say that? Oh, yeah, maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. That's so much. I don't believe either of these are going to get settled by tomorrow. And we're going to learn so much more because people are unfolding different parts of the rules as it goes day by day. And my boy Mike Florio doing a deep dive into the Trent Williams one.
This is right up his alley. He loves this.
Florio is waking up, John, at midnight every day. And I'm not talking about the time on the clock. Like he is very fired up about this situation. That's our Quick Trip take of the day, brought to you by Quick Trip. Need something for dinner tonight? Don't cook. Stop by your local Quick Trip. Pick up a freshly prepared, absolutely delicious take-home meal. You might even find Armin Cafe Karuba coffee in a Packers cup. Hard to pass that up.
Yes, that's right. The 20 ounce. That's delicious right there. Marcus in Iowa. Guys, made me look up the meaning of endowment on my lunch break. Nice one, fellas. I think that's the text of the day right there.
I think we hit our quota for endowment conversations for the entire year today, but it was fun. Like that last hour and a half was awesome to pull apart all the discrepancies and differences, John. And to listen to Badgers fans like to dunk on Ohio State. Seemingly, they do like to do that. They're big fans of that.
I just love that Armin finally dropped his endowment on the table.
Hey, when you got the endowment, you drop them on the table. You might wear it around your neck. And all these people saying that the attendance number is fake. Go look it up. You can go look it up on reputable sources. Go ask around.
Go ask around. Check your facts, buddy.
Pretty good work by Marquette fans. 8th in the nation average attendance.
Yeah, and you didn't even help. That is Armin Sarian, John Coons right there. I'm Billy Schmidt. We're going to try to be better tomorrow. It's been 9 to noon. We're going to hand it off to the Mike Heller Show right after this. You got the game.